Green. All right, let's try. All right, 6:02. I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. We're going to begin with the invocation. If you'd like to bow your heads with me. We thank you for the opportunity to come and serve this town. We ask that you give us good discernment, that we listen and respect others' opinions, think about the future of the town and strategize as we are looking at our budget and our capital improvement projects. We ask that you keep us calm and level-headed as we discuss these items. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen. We pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item is the adoption of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I have a question, an observation. I think so. We have a meeting tonight, which is a budget 12, and then we have our regular monthly meeting on the 19th. And then the next meeting we scheduled at the last meeting, which is the special meeting to vote on the budget on June 2nd. Is that correct? Okay. And I remember at the last meeting, it was my anticipation we were going to see on the agenda tonight the presentation of any candidates to fill Mr. Purcell's vacated seat, but I don't see it on the agenda. And I don't know if it's possible to add that tonight. If not, then it's going to be, I assume it's going to be on next week's agenda, which tells me that we should at least try to have another. I hate having more meetings, but it is budget season. And that's my understanding. The only known candidate is David Purcell, and I've known David 45 plus years, and he is a CPA, and I think that would be invaluable. So I'd like to get him to do this. It's done before June 2nd, because he needs to be involved in the process if we're going to do that. So I would either we add it tonight. I'm going to add the consideration of a special budget meeting on the 26th or 27th, so we can get it on council as quickly as possible.
Motion.
My motion is to either add his application to tonight's agenda, which is my preference, so we can vote on it next week. And the town account, our town attorney is not here, so I don't know if there's prohibition on amending the. We waited the appropriate time, and I know that when I was at it, I was the following Tuesday. It was a Friday. I'm not stating so. This is the way I read the statute. It says we can appoint them within 45 days. The only waiting period is 7 days from when we present the application to when you have the vote.
So I anticipate this question. Can we, there's a motion to add the new interim member tonight. Can that be done tonight?
It's simple.
Presentation.
All we had to do was have available to the public their application and their application and information, so that all the candidates have been made public to the public, that all that information is made available to the public. Does that have to be an agenda item to have that available?
That's my understanding, but Mr. Gore can confirm that.
So I think what my full scope of advice on the process, but if you don't want that, then yes, legally to do that. This is not. For another issue, it would be a question, but yeah, I think you can add it as long as yeah, it's just you you want to have actions. That's so much. Now all you're doing is announcing the candidates.
That's good.
Thank you, Jeff.
Nice.
Right, and if I inartfully said that, that's my motion is to present the candidates, in this case, one, and make it available for inspection to the public. And then, and then that way we can vote on it next week. when we're back in. And you second that?
Any discussion?
Ms. Hart.
Four.
Ms. Murphy.
Four.
Mr. Hammond.
Or.
Mr. Craig.
Four.
Passes unanimously to add it to new business. Just make it publicly available.
I got it.
Anyone else?
Okay, so I'm gonna move, because we typically have on to old business.
We need to adopt the,
Oh, we need to adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Any discussion?
Mr. Henry.
Four.
Mr. Craig.
Except we will move. Just touch on the new business that will get the resume out for public inspection.
It needs to be made at this meeting, so we believe
We need to
we
put it.
need to print that so that it's available. So I think it's supposed to be presented here, and we need to announce the candidates as well.
So we had one candidate that applied for the interim council member, David Purcell. We'll be placing his resume out for public inspection. I guess we could also consider the website too, or Facebook. Does that? Oh, that's not. So we'll just put it on. Yeah. So just put it out. It'll be placed out on.
If I have it, if anybody wanted to come in.
Okay.
It would be available for an inspection if requested, essentially, at the town office out of the,
Just like the dense others. Yeah. Okay.
but we do need to have it at this meeting too.
Yeah.
So, yes, and then I don't know how long is that gonna take to, well, like how long it's gonna take to go pull a copy up and get it printed?
Oh, no, right.
Okay.
Yeah. We're talking about it taking print.
Do you have remote print capabilities?
You know what, I'm offline. The thing is, I have it on my computer.
I got it.
Technically, it's available. I have it on my.
You can,
I'll
I mean, there's not anybody currently here. Anybody's top five, yeah, we should have a printed
Okay.
version of it.
I'll get a printed version.
You don't have anything else to load on right now, so, or shouldn't we?
Okay to move to, or wait for her to get back for them.
Yeah, I guess the question will simply be whether or not. We want me to take it additional notes, yeah,
I said no. So get back, I think.
I mean, it's also recorded, so.
Yeah, say, I'm good to move forward. I just didn't want anyone to.
Yeah, I can jot that one. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move into our old business. On our budget workshop.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
So We're just gonna move on to the budget workshop. While Stephanie's getting that printed.
Okay. Stored in the newspaper. He's not.
Okay, so everybody, why don't we move ahead with capital improvement program? If you wanna, some of you have the electronic version and others have the handout. Okay, so what I've done with the capital improvement program, this is a continuation of our discussions going back to committees, including the facilities committee, public works committee, water sewer committees, and so forth. I have everything in there. I have changed only a few items. They're broken down by general fund and enterprise fund. There's been some subsequent conversation since our last meeting with staff on the actual quotes. And a couple of items, the mayor and I and staff discussed that I'll go over. But again, this is, all I'm doing is saying, based on our communications, committee meetings and conversations with staff, these are the items we think that capital items that need to be planned out this year and over the next 5 years. So for tonight, all we really need to discuss is, do you agree with the items and the amounts and the year that they're in? And then what because our recurring revenues do not cover CIP items, this will come out of fund balance, general fund balance, or in the enterprise funds, water, sewer, or Hillcrest. So for tonight, the discussion is, do you agree with the amounts and then the year? And do you agree that we have these through fund balance? So real quickly, we've had previous discussions, so I know you're new, so I'll just go through these. If you click on the general fund page. So we have a copy of Mr. Process. If you click on the general fund page, the items, and I'll just go down the list. Agenda software, we discussed this. Well, next year, this would move from paper to electronic format. It'll be more administratively efficient rather than all this paper that we print. That would be 11,600. We agreed to move that. If you're interested in that, but do that next year. We discussed, migrating from our BAI accounting system to a cloud-based accounting system. We did get a quote. I sent that out over the weekend. That is in the range of $100,000. That seems to be something we need to engage in more proactive planning, see if we can get the cost down. There's a long lead time to migrate from a BAI system to a cloud-based system, including training. So that's put out to next year. There is a quote that backs that up. IT server upgrade. We met with Magna 5 this week, and they said that our servers are now aged out. How old did they say they were? Mark?
It wasn't a matter of aging out, it was the software. When VMware was owned by Dell, supposedly we have two servers, one at town hall and one at the police department. When Dell owned it, the annual cost was roughly $1,000 per server. About 3 years ago, Broadcom purchased from Dell the VMware software and immediately bumped up the annual fee for each server to about $3,500 a year. In the upcoming year, it's gonna go annually to anywhere between $11,000 to $14,000 annually per server, and it's gonna require a 3-year commitment. So in order for these servers to continue operating, when we met with Magna 5, what they were suggesting is it's actually going to be on the next week's meeting. It's in my memorandum. Each server, to be exact, each server to migrate it
would be one-time cost of $5,940. And it would come with perpetual licenses in the amount of $1,426. So altogether, it would be one-time cost of $73.66 per server. One-time cost to keep these servers operational, or it's gonna be $11,000 to $14,000 annually. Per server.
But this is for the administrative server only, not the server.
Correct.
So,
It looks like what you put in there is the administrative server. What I'm proposing, our next council's meeting is to, which is what they recommended that we do the police one, right away, which is in my memorandum asking to reallocate the, 73 and change from salaries of this year and do the PD server within this fiscal year. That is why I think you just put one server.
right, but
for
the main,
CIP.
the main justification was, he said the antivirus system won't protect it. Isn't that right?
It had to do with a number of issues. One of them was the firewall. But regardless, right, it's gonna be 11 to 14,000 annually per server, or it's gonna be $7,300 one time. Is
So-
where we are.
So this is for the administrative server. Chief Knockman has an agenda item on his server that will be on the 19th. But this is for next fiscal year. His request is for this year. All right, moving along, we
Hold on a
talked.
second, I got a question about
Okay.
that. I mean, almost every business I know has switched from servers to cloud-based operations. But why would we get new servers?
Well, because it's $100,000 to migrate to the new system.
Well, that's one quote we have, right?
That's a reasonable estimate of that cost.
Based on,
Our knowledge of accounting systems.
who's our,
The quotes that we received, I've done this before, they can go anywhere from 100,000 to $1 million in a migration.
but where do we, I mean, everybody's moving away from servers just because they're fallible. And that, so I'm just curious why we're not. I mean, we migrated. I don't know how many people are on the server. How many people are on the administrative server here?
Um,
7? 5 people.
Oh, not council, 6.
6 people.
I don't know if they're using server.
All right, and how many people are on the police server?
I think there's some confusion between the software for the server and the EAI.
the migration to a cloud-based system is not something that can be done quickly or inexpensively. But if you would like to move that amount up to this year, it's certainly considered.
So
I'm not asking you to do any amount. I'm trying to understand what we do with the server. That's my question. What does the server do for us and why do we need a server?
The server is integral to the whole software system.
What's the software system?
is that BAI?
It handles more BAI or storage of documents that are put into the system. It's protected, like any of the zoning permits and stuff like that. Any of the documentation for billing is saved onto that server.
Believe currently, our current BAI system, it's gonna be hard to transition that to a cloud base because it's an older accounting system, so part of our other systems that operate might be hard to upgrade to a cloud-based service. We are looking at, and that $100,000 that's in there is to move from BAI, which is their current accounting software, which is a lot of what happens around here. Move that to a cloud-based and a whole new system. That's the $100,000, but separate from that, we would still currently at least still have a server to run everyday operations. But I don't know that we've researched at this point, moving everything fully cloud-based yet because their current infrastructure, the way we have it, isn't gonna allow for that quote yet. That's my basic understanding of it, but again, please correct me if that doesn't seem accurate, but to me, I think we're trying to move that direction, but one of the big holdups is gonna be that accounting piece. Currently, that's gonna have to be updated before we can migrate everything.
The actual quote I sent over the weekend, you can see what all it does in that email. It had the details of what it does.
Let's give you a little backstory, Mr. President. Our VAI system is basically like old school Oregon.
Yeah.
It's hard to operate.
It's tough.
It's still new. So I mean, our technology, they have to do a lot of manual printouts for making sure that meters are reading properly, that the numbers are matched up, that there's no. We had a new up-to-date system in regards to my department of water. It'll make the flow of the word less paper trail and more digital and more fluent in its whole purpose.
Okay, and so this is the Southern Software Incorporated that you have the quote from?
That's correct. So what it does is it handles everything. Utility billing, it's the entire accounting system, the financial accounting system, purchase orders, invoices, payroll processing, the taxes, fees associated with the cemetery, tax billing and collections. It's the heart of the whole billing system.
All right,
But it also includes significant amounts of training. So
New system, yeah.
includes all employees, sensitive personnel information, accounts payable, accounts receivable.
so what part are we trying to do for this year? What part are we trying to approve this year for the administrative? To get a brand new server?
The servers are related to the existing VIS system.
Right,
So really just buying ourselves time to buy next year.
and so we're trying to spend about $8,000 just to get through the next year. Is that how we're looking at it? But at some point, we recognize that we're gonna have to rip the Band-Aid and get to cloud-based, correct?
It's overdue. And this discussion has been delayed, in my opinion. But we're all here now, so this is the plan.
Okay, I apologize for interrupting. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay. So the one thing I will say about the accounting software system is this. I've seen this before. If the firewalls are outdated, there's now numerous attacks in ransomware. There's literally people in Iran scoping out vulnerabilities in our system and attacking our system. When the IT director that we met with said that there's been a number of attacks on us. I've heard that from our consultants. They record that raises an alarm bell. So when we last met with the IT director, he said that the server firewall is aging out. To me, it's a reasonable investment for that reason.
So that's part of the 8,000 is the firewall?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an antivirus too.
And is the people who gave us the quote, is that who's gonna give us who's also gonna provide the new firewall and?
Yes, it's part of the server.
Okay.
So
So do you have a quote for the server for the IT, for the staff server, for the one here, not the police one? Because I understand there's a separate quote for the police.
It would be the same.
It's the same, so you, the number I heard was 7366 per server roughly. But this budget item here says 7,000 in the budget line. That's sufficient. What is their real number there from that standpoint? Do we have a quote that has that real number? Is the 7366 the real number?
68 is the exact number from Magna 5.
From Magna 5, so that's yours.
But it would be per server.
Okay, because Magnify does everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be 7366 versus a flat 7,000 if we wanted to cover the entire amount as a capital item for each per server.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we're looking at splitting that one for police in surplus from current budget salaries for police for this year and looking at fiscal year 27. Actually, the second server, the one for the main office here.
That was the recommendation from Magnify to do it in that order.
Thank you for the clarification.
So I'll just change that to 7366. Okay. All right. Next item. So we've had numerous conversation on traffic management, and we actually had this in our January goal setting meeting. Talked about protecting the quality of life. A small town quality of life involves what we can do on traffic management. I did some research over the weekend, and found that if as part of a comprehensive plan update or as part of rezoning, you can ask for traffic management study as part of the comp plan, not necessarily tied to a specific geography location. So that's free. So we're updating our comp plan now. So I just put $5,000 in there in case there was some sort of match down the road. If you wanted, I could really, it's not really a CIP item. I just thought we could set up a line item for if there's any future grants or anything coming down the road. But certainly it's just for discussion.
If, you said that is in conjunction typically with a comp plan update. Didn't we just do a comp plan update like 2 years ago or so? It's typically done every 5 years, so we shouldn't be ready for a comp plan update quite yet. Is that something we need to push out to line it up with their comp plan?
We have been going through.
The planning commission has been doing.
We've been with the comp plan because we just did, it's typically reviewed every 5 years.
Mhm.
And we just did it like 2 years ago. Three, okay, 4, 5, 6. So are we reviewing the comp plan for 2028? Is that what we're starting now for 2028? Or do we, I'm just trying to clarify, because I didn't realize that anybody was going back through comp plan again right now. Because it was just, like I said, the most recent update hasn't been the full 5-year cycle, so.
When I came on in November and went to the first ENC meeting, that was what they were doing.
Did not realize that.
I believe that a former council member who was on the planning commission may have told him something may need to be updated, and I think he took it upon himself to
Update the whole thing versus just a paragraph.
So I'm involved with the planning commission on the update, and much of the language is outdated. It goes back 10 years, and we're making it current. You said it.
Yeah. Maybe.
I was just trying to figure the schedule, because normally it's done every 5 years, and I didn't think we were in a 5-year cycle right now, so I didn't realize that anybody was reviewing that, that's all.
I think it came up at our council meeting not long before actually came in, that's what they were working on. They were doing a rewrite update of it. And they were just telling us as part of their committee debrief. So I knew it was happening, but that's how I knew it was happening. It was a committee.
Okay, I mean, I may have missed that, I just didn't realize that we were doing that. Like I said, I know this isn't current cycle, but if we're getting a jump on things so that we'll have it ready for 2028, I'm all for that, but I don't know that.
We'll have to wait on that. I mean,
The law is every 5 years. It doesn't say you have to do it every 5 years. You just have to have it done at least every 5 years. So there are localities that when they do an update, do it less than 5 years. It's still in compliance with state law.
That's correct. But with the data centers and the traffic, and the things we're trying to do with economics, it makes sense. Some of the language we looked at talks about things in the eighties. It's just not, it's not up to date. But anyway, the traffic management study, what I want to do with the new traffic engineer is just approach them and say, we're doing a comprehensive plan update. Can we get a downtown traffic management study? The county itself passed a resolution in support of that. And we had a 2x2 meeting where we discussed this and they were all for it. They were excited that we would do it. So I just thought I'd create a line out as something of a seed, just put some seed money in there and see where that goes. Just a thought. That's not really a CFP, but just one.
Do we know who's doing the traffic count up on Main Street right now?
Yeah.
That's VDOT.
Those are runners. Yeah.
That's in anticipation for the upcoming pavement. They're still trying to decide whether they're doing 12.5 or 9.5. They're leaning towards 12.5 due to the heavier traffic load that we're seeing because the fellow roads are failing, which will hold up better. It's a highway infrastructure paving mix.
Mhm.
So that's why they're doing traffic study. Or traffic count, but both study, they're seeing what the average daily traffic is.
Not trying to derail, just I didn't know if that was related. So
It's something we discussed in the January strategic goal setting meeting, that traffic is now becoming unsustainable and affecting the downtown and the quality of life. And so I just thought this is the time to bring it up.
I think I'd rather see that personally as something that's not in our capital improvement program, and instead if we, apply for and receive a grant, add that to our budget at that time, because it would be offsetting revenue and expense from that standpoint.
Streets and
As we can, and it's a small enough item, it's not gonna require any sort of hearing or public hearing or anything to add that into the budget later. I feel like I prefer to see that as something that we do as an amendment later if it shows up, rather than putting it in the budget, not even knowing fully if that's something that will happen this year or in the future.
All right. How about I
That's
just,
just my opinion.
It's under grant.
Right, but we haven't actually applied for that, correct? I know we can get money for it, so I think I would feel more comfortable if we go through that process and we go, hey, we have received this grant money and we add it to, we've applied for and they've accepted our application for receiving it. I think it would make more sense to approve it at that time at a council meeting rather than put it into the budget when we really don't have. It seems more like a wish than a real.
the only other option is if you wanted to self-fund the stuff.
Well, no, I understand. I'm all for the grant money. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for the grant money. And if we can apply for that and receive it, absolutely. I think that's the smartest way to go about
What
it.
she's saying is it can
I
fall
just
in
think,
not the CIP, but another part of the budget, and we can add
I
it.
think I would just exclude it in the budget completely. If we haven't actually applied for it, and if we determine $5,000 as a budget amendment is gonna be less than the 1% threshold, so it's something that we can amend to the budget at a later date if we receive funding for it. If you think we're gonna have to do a traffic study regardless within this budget year, then that's a separate issue, in which case that should be listed not as a grant, but as an actual expense, and then if we get grant monies to cover. I guess that would be the question. Is this something that we're expecting as a true expected expense this year?
No, I don't have a definitive.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Sure, then you can answer those questions.
Okay.
And when the legislative committee met, one of the things was that we have the ability to go out and search for these grants. However, they have to be approved by council before we do that. So is that there, because this is one of the ones that you would like us to pursue? And this is the documentation that these are the grants that we would like to be rest? Or is that a totally separate entity?
I think we can all agree we need a traffic management study. Where we want to put that in the budget, or do you want to wait for it, right? Or do you want to put some seed money in the budget? That's the discussion.
I think what somebody is saying is pursue it, but if it comes to fruition, then we can add it at a later point
Okay.
versus including it.
It is, however, to Vicky's point, if they're asking for some sort of notation saying, hey, we're going after grant monies and funding because we have these projects coming up. How do we need to document that from that standpoint? It's just not the pleasure of budget. Or is it simply if we document that we would like to proceed with X, Y, Z as a, grant opportunity, is that sufficient?
Yeah.
I think that was your question.
Right, that's the question.
Is that sufficient? And it doesn't actually have to be in a budget because we don't know if we got the money yet.
You guys can direct the legislative
That
committee
committee.
at a later meeting and say, we want to pursue this. And
So I'll take it out and put the CIP or pursue it as a. And if there's a match required, we'll come back and revisit. Okay, all right, so this is going into Mr. Larry's world here. Town facilities upgrade, town hall. We talked about the roof repair. There were still pursuing quotes on that. Do you have any more information of 15,000 in there?
No, I'll just able to get anybody out that does commercial roofing until after this meeting. I'll have more sound quote on if it's a repair job or a replacement job, depending on what the damage is in that section above the conference room. I put did some research and recommended the fit clean just in case it is a heavy duty repair because it's a metal roof.
Got one up there about Greg was here. Fixed this side of the roof. Didn't charge us a cent. He said, call me back when you have something better.
Well, provide me his number because if he's gonna do a roof, he's gonna go too.
Can you look back?
I can look at Miss Terry, look it up.
Okay.
All right, so is that okay for now? That's
Question on roof repair. So roof repair, on the prior CIP budget, CIP list that we had, it included, I believe in this section as well, it included gutters and some fascia board repair, something.
That was my shop.
That's a separate,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually getting done right. It's coming out last year's budget.
okay.
Looks good too.
okay, so we're okay with that one. All right. So the wood floor.
Mm.
Okay,
Yes. You said that was being done right now?
Yeah, you know, my cap.
oh, he has the budget for,
Yeah, I had 40 grand in my cabinet improvement, so I'm actually getting gutters put on, so what's happening is the rain comes down and knocks out the door. So they replace the facial boards, do gutters, or replace a bunch of damaged doors and door frames.
yeah. So when he had all of his CIP, it was what can you get done in this year's budget that you have available? And then the rest would roll over to next year.
so moving on to the wood floor of the town hall. There's two options. Either overlay a vinyl, which is easier to maintain, which changes the dynamic of the hardwood floor, or refurbish the wood, 17,000. It's
I got a quote on both because it's a horse store building. I don't know how you guys would feel about putting vinyl over top. If we redo the floor, it's gonna include majority of weekend work, so we don't disrupt the day-to-day operations. I think aesthetically it looked better to keep the floors and I think people will be happy with it, but I gave you both options.
It'll still squeak.
Oh, it'll squeak. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna sand it completely down, starting from that line there over this way, because that part floor is better. Do all the ladies' office and the area over there, these like in sections, so this way we're not taking up the whole thing, starting this room and the mayor's office. What they'll do is they'll sand it, fill the cracks, and repair whatever boards they can. Fill in blue and then seal it on top and sand it with matching color it's supposed to be.
It doesn't include this.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it's everything on the floor. I just had it, I don't know, still in shape.
This building, it doesn't affect the historic,
That's what I'm saying, for.
that's what I was gonna say. I thought that we had it designated as a historic bill. I'm not sure we can spot vinyl.
We put rugs. I would prefer to redo the floors because I think it, the aesthetic and the age of the floor, I think a lot of people upset when it's all vinyl. That's just my opinion.
Say, even an overlay of on, it's not gonna get rid of your squeak.
I don't think the squeaks that issue is that's winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get piece it up.
So, you good with refurbishing the wood?
Yeah.
So 17,000. So there's your answer there, okay?
Yes, sir.
Ground floor carpet. I took a tour of the Arts Center ground floor. It's stained right there as you walk in. It's looking frayed. And I just did an AI search. It came up with the $6 a square foot. I looked at 1,000 square feet. It came up with an idea of 6,000 to do that front part of the
Does
carpet,
that include installation or is that just the materials?
just the materials.
Is that also including the gallery or just?
I think the galleries more as well.
We haven't cleaned recently. It looked storage there, some had understanding, but they did a. I mean, it's like they didn't do a deep.
My only thought is I don't know, like having potentially mismatched carpet. If we only replace a section of it,
Yeah, we have to do the whole.
like you would have to do the whole thing. It wouldn't,
The chances of matching that original carpet color with the stated and now,
yeah. So I don't,
It just doesn't look good stained
Does
as you
this,
walk.
does this include the carpet at the door entrance? And the inside?
Just as you
Well,
go,
that, whatever you want to call it.
Where's
And then the-
right, up towards that. Just a thought.
Just seems a little low to me. The quote seems a little low if we're doing that, but then if this is just parts stuff.
it's just a calculation of materials. I can call around. Tell you.
So. Is this something that we could ask the art center to help us with as well, since they are the primary users of that space? I mean, it's just a thought. It might be something because I'm sure it would be of a benefit to them to have that upgraded as well.
Yeah, it's more benefit for them than for us.
Right.
So I can't answer that, which is that the director has made it very clear they don't have a nickel to spare, and they're actually right now asking me to see if we'll cover some of their theater equipment.
Yeah, that shop was their speakers.
So they're every chance I speak to her, she's saying, I'll ask her. See, sort of can.
I mean, I understand up here because it's like, there's a safety, like I know for Stephanie that her heels will get caught. I just don't know that I would call the carpet downstairs a priority for
For this year.
this year. I don't know. Especially because I know that 6,000, like you are very hopeful. It's gonna be significantly more.
I can look around about seeing what companies actually offer deep clean and stain removal.
Mhm.
It is keeping it done again. I think they did it right after winter.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about doing it twice a year, so I can look around and get quotes on a deep clean.
Mhm.
So I'll probably have to do it on the weekend once again, just let it dry. But I can get some quotes on that. That's something you guys will do.
Yeah, I think we push that out as you go through and see if we can get some better quotes, maybe tie this over one more year and see if we can have some conversations with the art center about potentially getting a co-op with that. Um.
Yeah.
Since it is primarily their
Just-
use space. I mean, I know we still have foot traffic that goes through there, but in the central corridor there.
So push it out in.
That would be my recommendation, is push that out to the fiscal year 28 budget.
Done. All right, moving along.
And just to a question for what Sylvia's saying, if we move that ground floor carpet to 28, the deep cleaning will come under a regular maintenance.
Yeah, so it will be a part of the existing water.
That was the only question.
Okay, making progress. Here we go. All right, moving to the basement, moisture remediation. There is some moisture intrusion. Dealt with this with my historic home in Blair's. So it requires a diagnostic and remediation. You can get an internal French drain for about 3,000. Do we think that's a reasonable amount, 5,000?
I thought we talked about the 5,000 to get deep foundation, inspect to see what the issue
But
was.
that's entirely for the inspection.
Except, I don't know what it's gonna cost without giving me a start and estimate. Because we do have,
Let's take a low, would be fine. No, if that's too much.
I was just saying because we talked about it's gonna be a job that they have to waterproof the basement. So it's happening. I think a lot of the issue is our gutters not functioning. Like, look inside the building, you can see where the water is down. That's exactly what's entering the basement. There's probably issues with the foundation of the basement sealing wise, but I think that's something.
Will the roof repairs help with that?
See, water's gonna move you to the gutters. Might be, I'm lucky truck doesn't reach, otherwise I'd go up and clean up.
Like we're gonna JLG loop.
Yeah, I could do that.
All the way on the Facebook market. I
Well-
will send it to you.
It's moisture intrusion doesn't self-correct. So something needs to be done. Isn't it a problem? It's getting worse.
It hasn't gotten worse, and when I first noticed it, I was down there doing a plan review, looking for old plans, and I saw it work, so I contacted the arson, they had to move a bunch of their stuff out of the way. I haven't seen it since when we have a heavy cold days rain. You'll see it. But it's not where the hole, there's 3 inches of water sitting.
It's a problem. Doesn't get better.
Gutter system is a problem. She's been wearing a contract.
Okay. So
My only question would be, part of what Mr. Larry is saying, that installing an internal French drain on a building of the same is probably gonna cost more.
We have,
So this is just for clarification, this is just a diagnostic balance here with a potential remediation, but if we actually do,
it's gonna be a thousand.
it's gonna be, yeah, that's why, you're not gonna get that for $5,000.
Do we need, so that diagnostic to me is not necessarily. I mean, is that something we can fully consider being if we're doing diagnostic and trying to determine our next course? Is that really a CIP? Or does that need to be part of a maintenance line item or maintenance overrun in order to develop a plan that we then turn into a CIP? Is my only question with that. One, as to whether or not it's a true CIP item, or if it's something that we need to do the diagnostics and see where we are, and then it will become a CIP, and if so, those monies can then roll into that as part of that project, but I don't know that it's a true CIP yet, but.
I understand the reasoning. Again, what I'm offering this year is to set things up a little differently. I'm trying to anticipate future costs with a separate capital. We've been putting things in the operating budget. The auditor said we should start setting out larger capital projects in a separate CIP fund, and also the VML consultant said the same. So what I'm really doing is trying to set things up for future projects, and I'm anticipating. But you can look at that as an operational thing, as just something we take out of public work. You're right. It's gonna be done that way.
I mean, I don't know if that's the best way to do it or not. I mean, if all we're doing is trying to come in and get some quotes and diagnose and figure what the best plan of action is.
I think I came up with that $5,000 based on the average cost for foundation inspection for a building this size. It's anywhere from 2,500 to 5, depending on what they have to do. I'm hoping to be able to inspect the foundation from the inside, because if there's a crack that leads all the way through a portion through, you're gonna see the inside.
Yeah, so I agree with Sylvia that that's more of a, like, put that in just like your budget to have it available to do that, and then the actual work that's done, then we can capitalize that as a part of the CIP.
My other thinking on this is the town hall itself is an asset. And it has all these categories: roof, wood floor, carpet, basement. It is a capital asset to historic asset. So my thinking is set it in the capital, because if you add up roof, wood, floor, basement, you've got 25,000.
Have to determine whether or not, so from a capital asset standpoint, if you want to look at it from that standpoint, if you consider what additional value am I providing to the long term of this property by having a evaluation done? Zero. By having the actual work completed to fix what has been discovered through that process, absolutely adds value and extends the life of the building. But the actual, we've got to, do some repair and maintenance and kind of figure what we have to move forward. To me, the evaluation is not necessarily providing any additional value to the asset value, or
You're right.
so to me, that's more of a maintenance issue
Yeah,
that then,
okay.
assuming something's found, would turn into a capital project.
How about I set up a capital item and just call it basement repair, and then we take the 5,000 out and just use contractual services to get a quote.
Yeah, I'm looking now.
Yeah. Are you okay if
Actually, I can get a free inspection through Jay, that foundation repair, so I'll schedule that.
so would you be okay if I add that 5,000 back into the operating budget? If there's a little bit of reserve.
I personally would want to look back at that whole budget before I said yes or no to that. I don't know how others feel.
While we're on that subject, what I have done to the operating budget.
Can we keep going on the CIPs for now and then switch over?
Okay. All right. So take this out. So you wish.
It's not really a take back, it's more of a move, so it would be a move from capital improvements over to a regular maintenance cycle right now. Until we know what the actual capital costs will be, look at the maintenance and see if we want to increase that and need to cover. Or if we think we can incorporate it.
Moving on, basement. There's a treasure trove of documents in the basement going back for years. Since the school was in existence. So we have a quote, I sent it up to y'all, 16,000 to digitize. I think that's the one, yeah. It was 16,000 to digitize the documents. Staff, we're gonna use some staff to go down and get that work this summer.
Well, we need a plotter to do that.
We did what?
We can scan some of the smaller stuff like, use the documentation, all that, but the data plan, the kind of thing, the plotter, or send those out to get this, I think that's what you call the for everything.
That you have, and then it's in there.
Why are we doing that? It's why it is. Big question of my mind where it's digitized like that. And it's on there. Show me. So that's no way it's there.
So, part of the, simply to preserve the data.
It'll be ones that I'm taking, just I've heard it, or so just decrease the time taking plan to get an official copy.
That's all about. So I think it's not very close. Any,
Plan, you can have your book out this today, that has been accurate. And it,
I was in her multiple spots, I've been as of recently.
so she's got to get off and go over there, and I gotta look under the salt inside of the end of, so she can look it up, like with the plans and.
You said we need a plotter.
Wouldn't be hard to.
Be like the amount of plans and things that we have and the amount of cost of one of those and the.
And, you know,
Would they let us use theirs?
I'm gonna have Miss Mary, she's working with me right now on our GIS, like, I'm gonna get this got a brand new plotter, it's always on the crap. I can talk to her and see, but it's still gonna be, you gotta think about it, I'll have to go over there, and scan a single page so the time's then.
Yeah.
That was the plotter, with the number.
I think the setup for those is pretty to scan something for that size. They're a good size machine. I mean, they're about the size of that table.
Yeah.
At least, you know, the table that Stephanie's out. It's a good size machine.
I think the price could be. The best in because, when I was doing my CIP work for. Cemetery, they did send me a spreadsheet to start being able to do, even if you don't. Go with us, we can at least use it to digitize. So, Cheyenne might be in that process this week, so it would, that price includes his plans in those books, so. If Cheyenne have to take care of the books, that price can go down.
And I'm assuming it's that.
Oh, it's $200 a minute, sorry, that doesn't.
I say, and there's, I know the multiple, it's local. Areas.
They are,
Oh, there's more, there's plans, things.
Well, I think we'll grab up, so I'm right there. You got fight in the basement.
I think the oldest one was like the 70s. Yeah, that's right, and that one drawing that I should all have.
Okay, so the 16,000,
And again, that's for next year. Now, again, as far as I'm concerned, pushing these out, but I'm not necessarily approving that we're putting them in a budget for next year, or confirmed for next year. Just for, is the way I would look at this. This is their plan, but I think those would need to be addressed. Again, when we look at next year's plan.
the TIP is really just a thing, it's a planning document. It's items that we know need addressing, that we can't keep thinking down the road, that we have to eventually handle. And then set up a financial plan and say, well, we can afford it here.
typically you have at least 3 to 5 year outlook claims, and that's the majority. And so,
All right, so that's next year. Next thing up is the parking lot. The parking lot is starting to crack.
Yeah, we're starting to see failure, it's been sealed before. I put out a request for a quote to the pavement savers thing you gave me, and it's a different kind of technology, it doesn't just seal it. It literally rejuvenates all the asphalt, so instead of paving it or overlaying it, we can get a quote from them, and they'll get a full parking lot treatment that will literally rejuvenate and bring the aesthetic purposes back as well as the life of the asphalt.
that's for this parking.
Yes, ma'am.
Brandon will do that. Brandon will do that.
It's just normal plug in, so I haven't gotten the quote back yet. Everything had going on, it's hard to just say quotes, so I put them in myself. So you know. Was great.
That repent too much.
Yeah, we can do that. We get time, we can do that.
Is everybody good with that one?
Or just put that in there, I'll take a call, I email everybody, just like, you know, I talk, I didn't know this quote, so I did talk to the board to see what they say about the coding they do it.
I'm thinking that number may change.
This
They
is,
caught me. $2,500 in my truck.
See what?
this is simply the parking lot on the side.
And put the whole thing up on my end. Or we should. Exactly.
I'm not the one where everybody parks. Yeah, that includes. Yeah,
That's the whole thing, do a job.
so that's all of this is on the.
So is that it? 5,000 parking lot?
I think when you get a quote,
So. I don't know that we have. Based on our current timeline of when we were looking to do public hearing. Which is a whole other discussion. If we're going back and getting additional quotes to get additional numbers to put in the budget. Then we're gonna have to change our planned schedule for when we're having.
Because it's missing the curiosity that this needs to be done tonight and they expect the public hearing to be on June 2nd. So if we don't have a quote, then I think that's a,
Don't have a quote, think it's not done, we can either pull it and add it later potentially. Or we plug a number in there that we think is more realistic. I mean, we just don't have a quote.
This is something of a placeholder number.
That's the problem, is we run out of time for placeholders.
there want to be need numbers for a budget for a public hearing in 2 weeks that this is act, because it's not on the agenda to do it next week on the 19th.
We can get it up.
It has to be presented to the paper, you have to turn that in on Monday, this coming Monday, I say.
And I would prefer not to do it Monday.
No, I could say that, I'm saying, but that's the quote deadline, so if you're looking at, that does 2 weeks for the public hearing. 2 cycles, so that we would then have our. That was still gonna be a public, special meeting on June 2nd, but we then adopted
June 16th.
June 6th, yes. Yeah, that's 7 days between the hearing. So the second, so potentially, if we absolutely have to have one more meeting. One final review at the council meeting next week to have it advertised the following 2 weeks, move to June 2nd to the following week, and then before we go to the actual meeting. I'm not advocating doing that, I'm just saying if it works.
Because my. The second. Would that council? In. The quote.
I put it down spending. I mean, quotes as fast as I can. You know, send them out to her as soon as I get them.
can we table that particular one for right now so we can keep moving forward? See how many other things we think that we're going through this, we might need to feel like we need an additional conversation about. And if that's the only thing, then we make that decision as to whether or not we want to pull it. And if we find multiple things, then we make the decision as to whether or not we have to adjust our timeline.
So, well, I think the public works building, we've already discussed these. Insulation, electric, the mini splits.
Do we actually have? Is that mini split number's not great?
That's the number Wayne's did.
That's what?
Wayne's cooling, heating cooling. That's the number for installation. I know that's the number for total. He said it wouldn't be much to install mini splits, but he's honestly on the fence about the mini splits because he feels we'd be better with a radiant heat system. It doesn't help us in the summer,
Yeah.
but we're not in the shop much in the summer because of the grass. We do have large fans. So there is other options. That's the number he gave me on mini splits. He said we need about 3 of them.
Is it 6 each?
No, that's the total number he gave me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I was shocked by it. That's what he told me.
Yeah. What brand is that? Cause that's low. Is it Wish? That was low 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'll double check. That's the number he gave me. I can call other companies too local.
I mean, if he's gonna actually do that, but I'd be a little concerned about what brand of equipment we're getting there, knowing
Yeah,
my,
I'll follow up with that.
Is it one for like the office and the break room?
that's a single zone. That's for single zones versus a multi-zone. It's the way it looks. But one thing is mini splits is not very good when it comes to heat.
Yeah, that's why you see radiant heat. We put 3 of them in there. One.
They do make high heat versions now, which have essentially an electric heater in them that can do that sort of thing, but they are more expensive as well, and you're not gonna get them on the cheaper versions of that's not for that price point. But if you're looking at, if you're primarily concerned with heat and not cooling, I don't know for sure that a mini split is the best option. Although they have improved, you're not gonna get, that thing's gonna be running constantly and you're gonna be at best probably.
That's what he said. He said you're not gonna be like 60 degrees.
Yeah, you're
And
not
honestly,
like 60
I'm more concerned about the heat. Due to the fact that during winter, we have KS sisters in there and we have to run torpedo gear with all.
I was gonna say, to me, heat. I don't know if the mini split is the best option.
The new number for radiant heat. That's what we're getting in our bathroom. That's part of the electrical code. Our one bathroom doesn't have heat. We want electric heater, so they're gonna install a radiant heater in it. A lot of heat in that bathroom, so we're not going to heater.
So when you say a radiant heater, you're still talking about an electric radiant heater. It's just not a standalone electric plug-in. Gotcha.
Do you need indication if it was gonna stay around that quote or if it would be higher?
He did not, we said this will be the function. But you know, when you get, that gift size, then you'll need to keep talking about 3 to cover all 3 zones of the shop. So I'll follow up with him and have one what you got tomorrow.
So when you discussed that with them, was there any discussion on the electrical bill increase from having those electric?
We wouldn't leave them on. They'd be on a thermostat just like everything else. So when we leave that day, we keep it just warm enough so this way our sewer jet doesn't freeze up. But right now, our torpedo is plugged into a old school cattle heater timer, so we reach a certain degree, it shuts off the power to just so our sewer jet doesn't freeze up. It seems like every time we empty it, we get a call about backup sewer. Don't get that time to fill it.
Keep that number for now.
And you're, on the same lines, so your electrical, is that to update the?
As you can play free water. GFI,
Are you updating the amperage to the building? bringing back that building. They're not in okay plans. So, you said meter amperage, to me, that means 200 amp service, 100 amp. If a 200 amp are the quote notification, but I know it's 200 amp.
Be nice to be fine as well. You're doing the one thing.
That's the 200 amp service, but you. Three legs to me means 3 phase.
I think it's 90 years.
Okay.
But it'll be a complete updated GFI outlet. That outlet will put on there so it doesn't trip the tank.
3 phase currently, we're just not using one like
Yeah,
that.
100 watt wire, 100 watt feed going to 60 watt wire. Supply.
So you're gonna get a couple more calls on that. Okay. Leave that is there for now.
What?
Maybe splits.
Well, you so.
I'm like, what with the old electrical now?
Okay.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that this will flow, like you guys asked, how, whatever money I have left over from the building improvement, we're building, towards buying materials or rolling over towards that. There's no sense in doing a heating sale or electric sale.
Those are hard answer.
Okay. So let's move to Parks and Recreation. We talked about this there. Actually, a number of things we want to consider with this park, possibly the county town park. I think there's a grant out there somewhere, either with USDA or Department of Conservation and Recreation, CR. So I just put this in there for discussion. Again, if you want to take it out till we get something, just wanted to put it on the radar. It would be a grant. Okay. I can take it out if you want, because we don't have it.
Okay.
Is it 20,000 to do something, or is it to get a study to find out the highest and best use?
That's it.
Second.
But she's thinking we can get grant monies to do a study for that.
Okay. But that goes back to what you talked in the beginning on another grant, which is
I think.
let's take it out of this and
That's-
wait and see, we can add it back in later if we get the grant.
That would be mine.
Well, that seems,
Yes.
I think we should be consistent at least.
We'll take it out. Just want
I mean, if everybody wants it in, I'm on the, don't think.
We can do like we did with the other one, we just add it as an optional list of things to look at from the beginning aspect. And then,
So there's two objects for the legislative intergovernmental. So. Traffic study and parks and recreation. All right, moving along. At some point, we have the Albert Field Town Park. We do have a better system. Clean latrine. It's a little bit nicer system, but honestly, I think without watching these kids play, the families, I think they deserve a permanent restroom. I think we can get a grant for that. We discussed this with the county. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I definitely think that the town needs public restrooms, like,
So I don't think that's the highest and best use for our recreation. But that's down the road. We'll see again. That's more of a grant. Okay, so
about the 100,000.
correct. That's about what it was saying. Playing soccer at the car field at UVA. They have a little soccer field and nice little brick and mortar bathroom. I was looking at that. And something like that. I could take some pictures and show you what I have. All right, moving along. Just looking out ahead, we want to consider if we get a Parks and Recreation master plan, what sort of upgrades do we want to offer for recreation. I don't think we should just rely on the county to handle that. Mayor Ashley, this is something you're passionate about. Do you want to comment?
For the 2028 line item.
Yeah.
Well, the amenity upgrades, splash pad, pickleball, skateboard, correct. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, move it out, so.
We have like a future, like vision casting, would love to see more upgrades done to our parks here.
So there's a lot of grant money out there. I've heard personally think, and the mayor's, I think, been successful. There's money through Amazon is here. I think they have an interest in goodwill projects. Dominion Energy, with all the negative publicity, they might be approachable now to do something positive in the community. I think it's actually an opportunity. But again, when you go to them, they're going to want to say, well, what's your plan? They'll just say, give us money. We want to see your plan.
Yeah.
So that would be the purpose of the Parks and Recreation. To develop more of a preliminary engineering report that would support the breakdown costs for that.
Even might be a little premature for the actual. Long term answer that, or actually, I think it's on four, better than 29. Better than 28. Well, next year. He's moved down. He's moved down to the splash pad and.
Oh, the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have just two questions, and that's a grant too. I have two questions on that. One, you can't tell Dominion we're writing a letter and we don't want you doing X, but yet we want $100,000 from you. I know that company on the back of my hand, Insider. They may not be willing to play if we don't play. And the second part of that is, what can we do? Do we have the deed to that park or does the National Park Service?
One way to tell today that, yeah.
National Park, but I don't want to get too much into the weeds of something from.
I think that's a future plan. I think it's something we should develop the ideas and determine what it is. It kind of goes back to the Parks and Recreation Master Plan will determine whether or not that sort of a spot pad pickleball is the best source for those funds, or if it's something else. I think that's just a placeholder for potential additional.
Yeah, but if it's not even ours, why have a placeholder?
So I took it out.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, we won't put one in until there's an actual thing. But it's a legitimate item for the intergovernmental committee and also to start thinking to the future.
Yeah, and we would need a definite document saying that we have ownership rights to be able to do anything with it. Because part of the grant application is submitting the copy of the deed.
Which part of the
The little one right here.
But there is also a county term too. They may be open to.
I think again, we're in the weeds. I think we need to move forward with the budget if we may.
All right, moving along.
But I would remove probably that engine. I mean, at this point, I don't know, I would almost remove all of the line items for that and just have the master plan as a potential future. But not even include it, so I don't know if I would include any actual capital improvement plans as far as from when we're advertising this.
Because when we're advertising, we're just gonna advertise 27, correct?
No, we should advertise. The capital program is the first year of the CIP.
Yeah, it's a future. You do let them know.
So that's a good question.
Show all of it, but I think
Just show this year.
just so this year, or, well, I mean, I'm okay with showing other years, but I think we definitely, I mean, there's not a lot of other years currently listed anyway, but I think from a town park and recreation standpoint, we don't know enough about what we would be if you're looking at it. Because we don't have the master plan yet. I think that would be step one.
Okay. So take these two line items out.
I mean, I don't know.
I'll just,
Yeah,
I don't wanna promote to the public that we're gonna have a splash pad or a, you know,
Good point.
a skate park or something like that, if we don't even know if it's a feasible thing that we can offer.
I understand.
So I think I don't think advertising something like that is prudent at this point until we have some sort of plan. Sure, Parks and Recreation Master Plan to develop potential additional uses for Parks and Rec within the town, absolutely. The rest of it, I think we need to hold off on.
I see your point. But do you want me to leave that 20,000 in for Parks and Recreation now?
I wouldn't want it in this year's budget. I would want us to look for a grant at this point before we actually putting it in a true budget. But I'd be okay with leaving it as a future potential, so that was something we're looking for. If we can move that up because we can get grant funding for it this year, then absolutely go for it. But if not, then.
Why don't we just leave
put it
that?
on longer term.
Sure. Why don't we just leave that as a line item and just leave it blank for now to let people know?
Like we need dollar amount.
and the thing with the restroom, I get asked that every day at school. Dad, where's the Chick-fil-A? When's the bathroom going? Mostly by softball players. So it would be good for them to see that at least it's on a list of someplace.
So we're gonna keep the line item for 20,000, we're gonna keep the first line item for the master plan and then we'll remove the dollar amount, right?
But I just leave it zero.
Yeah. We can step in here.
Yeah, that's just off the back.
Yep.
Or to the GL fund, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really going anywhere yet.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a line item, and if we get a grant, then we would adjust our budget at that point. I feel like we're not.
Okay. So I've taken out the line item though for the bathroom and splash pad. All right, so
Would you remove the cost entry or you took it out totally?
so definitely we want to take out conversation about splash pad and all that, because I think you're correct. We give up an expectation that we have money between them. But as far as the ball field bathroom, you want to leave that in there?
Just leave the line item and have, and not have the cost there yet. Because we don't know what
Okay.
it is.
Just
But at least they know that it's on the list being looked at.
You could also change the comment to like grant research and funds or something, just.
Just park upgrades,
Right.
Yeah,
like we just do that and just condense it, park upgrades, leave it at a blank and then define that, like,
master plan. I mean, I'd be okay with the rest of the document. It's one of the main things we've been talking about for a while. But yeah, maybe the comments on the right hand side be like, research grants, opportunities. Or
like information about the
yeah,
restaurant.
your CIP projects.
So I like that, keep it very bland, vanilla.
But leave the line item in there.
Leave the line item in there so that we can see, I mean, it doesn't have anything in it, so it's not gonna really affect anything. Leave the first two line items in, is that what we're discussing then?
The
Zero line with $0 amount, and then. Maybe a note under where it says justification. I don't know, I think I just changed justification to note rather than justification at the top of that, to be honest.
And the other question is in the town park is counts. So why do we have the town park on here? That's town property. Why are we,
Is this considered the town park?
this is the town hall park.
Yeah, well, that,
Park was on Meadow.
all right, so
County property.
correct, we'll call it town hall. All right, but leave in town hall park, Albert Field, Northern District, just don't put. Is that right?
Yeah,
All right, leave it alone. The ball field, plan there is to take away the stairs and haul it off. And is that it? Create a new entrance or just close that entrance?
I did go out and sound it, and I'm pretty sure it's monolithic report. So removing it might be tricky depending on whether, like I said, it's low bearing or the low bearing wall and how it's bored. So I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that we can just tear it down ourselves. Just because it is low bearing wall and there's backfill behind it. So it might be worth having somebody who's actually more certified than I am to analyze it and see if it has impact on the low bearing wall. But after we found out that it's in the play field, it doesn't need it.
It does.
Yeah, it's in the play field.
We, when you say, when it's closed to school, 3 days for us,
He's talking about the one right here with the stickers.
where we had it blocked off.
Yeah,
And the open steps that we have back here, the elbow jumping off of, the one that goes down to the closed fence. The big concrete steps, yeah,
yeah, those will still be open.
those will still be open.
What's the current condition of that set of steps? Outside of the fact that it's in field of play, what's the, I know there, are they still blocked off?
Yeah, the gate is closed off.
Because their Little League is agreed, they're not using that gate.
But again, that's something that doesn't currently have a. It does not have a dollar amount in there, correct?
I don't know I don't remember if he increased the ballpark maintenance line we had, there's something. Or grounds line, there's like it's not model, just by the sound of it, when I did bridge deck sounding. It sounds like monolithic, I don't know how it's tied to, in the old days, they used to out into it. Or as single structure,
I
right?
think sometimes they.
Yeah. And that's the case, it's not an integral part of it. Low bearing ball behind it, you can get it probably cheeky, but I'm not comfortable making that call.
Yes, you're probably not gonna know if you start putting into it what it was unless you excavate on it anyway.
Again, I think the options there, we could put in a ballpark figure and then adjust it as we get a quote. Just leave it blank till we get a quote.
So do we have enough in our line item for the maintenance and everything back to do the research to determine what our next steps need to be? We're kind of jumping out on it. What happened when we were going through things. And even back there.
Not closed.
So
Yeah.
it's to close the stairs so that you can enter through that back. So
It's closed. It's trying to be the. Maybe better to rebuild the clay. Door there.
well,
It's only back that up, it's only that. The steps back up, that's why I was asking, I just didn't know if the rest of the wording was. You should be able to see it up there. Trying to scroll over. We don't worry about what that's up for.
so I'm looking at the operating budget. There is a ballpark expenses, field facility improvement line item, and there's 5,000. I could get a start. I just would do that.
I mean, they've done everything else down there.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, it's good to recall.
I mean, I'm not trying to not do projects, but I think you need to have a better understanding of what we're doing. And now it's giving you the back. That also could be potentially something that you get some grant funding for tourism and stuff. Events.
We're incorporating that with the upgrades for that.
Yeah.
the 5,000 for this year.
No, it's in the,
You have to still use the line item.
Okay, so we'll leave that as a line item just to show for show.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so let's move along. Public Works Operations, we eliminated the one-time dump truck. However, speaking to Mr. Larry, at some point, we're gonna need this, correct? Yes. Can you explain what?
Something we're using on that. Yeah, all on truck, all on go to the back, having cylinders and high mileage, it didn't have exhaust line, just no tailgate. But see, don't try to do the ground check when we do an excavation or something like that. I don't where it's really just we don't put so much weight on our dump trailer. We reach the point we can use exactly. It just expedite things like military, stop taking numerous steps back or this one.
It's, is this for a use or a,
I need to steward of price range and my CFP based on, new. So I use based on mileage and all this.
so the 50,000, you think
I don't, yeah.
that's what's listed here? I just wanted to make sure. And it's not until 29, so I mean, it's not that, we need an exact quote today. I was just wondering if that was a used replacement or a new replacement, and that was it. Just wondering that. So. Not with that explanation, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
All right, so that's for future years. Moving on to police, at some point, we will need to consider if the traffic increases. The current ED location is not going to be sustainable. You want to comment on that, Tom?
We had discussions, but VDOT and traffic has increased tremendously on Main Street, particularly in the area of the police fire station. VDOT has discussed potentially some red solutions for that. But at this point, for most part of the day, we simply cannot get in or out of the parking lot, and it's only gonna be increasing at this point. It used to be usually that traffic would back up all the way to our entrance, mainly for the rush hour. During rush hour times, but we are at a point where pretty much all day, whether we are trying to make a left or right under emergency situations that we just simply cannot get out of there. It appears that that location, because of the traffic, is just less and less feasible for police operations unless we come up with a reasonable remedy to how we get in and out. Even during the times that we can get out, which is almost never. If we are making a left out of the station, even if people leave us and not put them, it's still extremely dangerous because of the traffic going eastbound by sheets. Because if that traffic backs up, even if they leave room, there's just no way to speed through all those vehicles that are stacked up all the way to the courthouse.
Is that really a CIP then? Or is that more of a like, if you're talking rent, that's just a operations, it's I know they were looking at leasing the building on the end of our. The Dickinson's ever lost that? The red brick. Oh, the old, Robinson was one. Who is it? First one. Flint, okay, yeah, CPA, right, yeah. Yeah. I know they were looking at possibly leasing that property. Would that even be a suitable location?
Which one?
The one about the building.
Themselves a little bit.
Well, it is, but if we're looking at, if we're saying that this, they can't get out now, we need to do something to do that. So if this station relocation,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. First of all, we shouldn't discuss any individual properties.
no, I'm just bringing up, there are some facilities out there that might be better suited, but I don't know what
That's the idea behind next year. That we're thinking ahead to a possible switch.
So is that something that should be a CIP at this point, or should it be a feasibility study of their current and potential future locations of police station that's taken up by the police matters committee and wipe it on this CIP for right now until we have a plan? And it seems and even determine what other options VDOT may or may not have to provide that, because I've seen locations where emergency areas have a blocked off section and you're not supposed to, now, not that that's gonna necessarily prevent people from being in it, but at least markings on the road saying, stop here. Things that I'm sure, I don't know what other options there, I'm sure there maybe had some discussion with them from that standpoint, but are we a little ahead of the game in adding this to a CIP versus trying to do a study of what our options are?
I think we already did. Didn't you already talk to them about painting?
Well, there are a number of things currently pending with VDOT. One of the temporary for now solutions would be just to add, on at least 2 occasions fairly recently, I was trying to get out with lights and sirens, and when that traffic backs up, literally you pull up with lights and sirens and just turn them off. Because these people can't go anywhere. They just cannot clear it once they back it up. Some of the things that VDOT discussed at a meeting that Mr. Terrell and I were at was a traffic preemption device potentially on the lighted courthouse, which would be a 2-factor thing. VDOT would put the traffic preempter on the light itself, but then the costly part of that idea would be that then you need to have a transmitter per vehicle, and they're not cheap. When I was in Northern Virginia, I think they were running roughly close to 5,000 a vehicle.
Yeah, my only concern is not the details of what we need to do it. It's the fact that this is a public safety issue.
Okay.
Why are we putting it off until a year to even look at it? It's a public safety issue now.
Well, one of the immediate things that I am still in discussions with VDOT and a little bit frustrated, but potentially it has to do with the repaving of Main Street, is that temporarily very cheap alternative would be what I'm proposing is that they paint a box, some type of either a line or a box that brings more awareness for people not to block it. And also I'm asking for at least if nothing else, then a temporary amber light. There's already a sign, highway sign approved by VDOT that says do not block the entrance, but if you go by there, it's always blocked. So 2 temporary cheap solutions would be painting the box in the roadway so that people leave it empty, and then adding an amber flashing light to the sign that's already existing there, which should relieve us temporarily. Still not probably optimal, but it would be better than us waiting 30 seconds for the light to turn green so we can proceed to emergency calls.
Yeah, that's really basing my question is that should be now or putting it off for another year. Seems like we should be doing something now.
I think he's getting VDOT to be doing some of those things. And if it is something that we're doing now, then I don't know that that's a CIP versus just identifying.
It would have to go on the regular budget.
The
You
idea,
gotta pay for it.
the idea of placing it in future CIP is, let's say we found a place to rent, you would have to upgrade it and rehabilitate it. It would not be, you would not go in there as is. You would need money to get it to the standard.
Yeah, because she needs his evidence for everything else.
So that's the idea.
So basically, that's essentially to offset money for these potential studies.
So do we want to, leave that for 28 and just have the regular police budget address the current issue? Try to do something regular budget.
I mean, the box or the light, I mean, we have money for the amber flashing light as long as VDOT gives us the permit to
Yeah.
put it up. On the side and the painting, I mean, that's probably something that would be VDOT's cost anyway. And if it wouldn't, it would be something that we could fit within the current budget year. When we're talking about just those two
And then,
particular items.
and then look at, 28, possible relocation. That's what I'm asking. Is that what we want to?
Where it is currently.
That's where it is currently. That's why I said I don't really want to remove it because if we're,
I would like to say potential or possible rather than just police station relocation, because I know that that's a definitive that's our.
We have to be careful with the language.
and it shows locate. I mean, for one thing, we do have to locate. Building. Doesn't say there is one. It says we
I know, but it does
locate one.
right, but potential, because we might find that there's another alternative solution to that existing location. I'm not saying there is, but
I mean, for it potentially could be cost of those preemptors and those vehicles. That would potentially mitigate that.
right.
So let me ask you this, what is the will council as to the time frame for potential relocation? Because I get developers call me all the time and I could,
I think that's outside of the scope of a budget workshop discussion. Personally.
I do come across vacant buildings all.
Yep, and they can talk about it in like the public safety committee. Certainly, I just want to make sure we get through this because we're bouncing up on 2 hours at this point.
And we've made it through 1 page of CIP. We still have a whole other page of CIP plus all their fees and
Okay,
whatnot. So
let's-
there's a ways to go.
yeah, let's move along. All right, so right now I have, if we leave in some placeholders, but everything else, I have 89,498. Use of fund balance or general fund. Is that everybody okay with that? The only ones still,
I don't know. I was just trying to see if the number matched what you had up there with your.
the only ones I did delete were the roof repair, the parking lot, and the mini splits. So I just left those in.
It's the question only, is that just for dogs?
I was gonna shop it. I'm here to get. Boyd's recommendation, he wasn't a big fan of these splits. He wanted to do NBA. Heaters, electrical heaters, just do the side of the shop, and it makes more sense to keep more work at AC, because he's the only time we actually spend in the shop during this time of year. So I'll get a quote on those, probably, yes, tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, so that's what I have in there for now. Is everyone tracking with that?
That includes police vehicle.
Or
Oh.
28.
So I'm sorry. The one final thing is I moved potential police vehicle out to next year. Again, it's a planning document. Okay. All right, so the total is 89,480. All right, moving along to the enterprise funds, going down the home secure fund. I think we've gone through, the committee's gone through all this stuff closely. The one is replace the 450 feet AC pipe and the car wash. I had a figure in there of 79,000, but I think that's right. You said to increase that, and that was too low, so I increased that to 100,000. And then this is
In 2 separate years, were you saying 200,000s or were you saying, like, I don't.
right. I don't, would that conclude that project? but also the VDH grant can have a continued life. Perhaps it would go to other areas, but the idea behind it is to replace the whole transite pipe. There's other areas in the grant that would then move to, it would create a line item for future work.
It would be a different location.
Yes.
This water capacity study, does that include the, unit developments that were already approved that have not been built yet, all the additional housing units that were approved?
Yeah, the idea behind that would be to have a professional engineer rather than staff calculating GPV, but have a professional staff engineer say, this is what an engineer's quote is. This is an engineer estimate as to what your current and future water needs are,
So that,
rather than just a staff.
that is going to include all the already approved plans that have not been built.
I think it should include current and the future development.
I just want to make sure that was captured.
But you need to ask Mr. Humphrey or me each time actually work here. And they fund that. He said, absolutely. It's not guaranteed until it happens. But it's
That is Sylvia's question on the light item before that. Do we need to have the 100,000 in the fiscal year 20?
We need to have an actual vote on that before we put it into the. Yeah. Okay, on the whole,
Yeah, that would be a line item.
I and I feel like that's gonna. I think potentially, I have a feeling that's gonna find issues underneath there when things are dug up and.
So do you want to remove it, let him get the quote and see if there's a grant opportunity for it?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do a grant opportunity, are there other areas, if we look at the CHA reports, is there other areas that we can tag onto this and do something similar to what we're doing with the current water line project, where we tag a couple of areas together and get one grant that covers multiple things, rather than just focus on one short piece of pipe for another project? I mean, I guess the question becomes, what is the impact to what is the potential, if we hold on that and try and do it as a separate project, what is the potential impact to the property owners that would be impacted? And I think it's minimal. I don't know, the only one that I mean, there's a business there that would be impacted, but based on the isolation of where the valves are, that business could potentially be tied into the other line, or may actually be tied into the line. Yes, sir.
With the new, the follow up of non water.
Okay, so the only thing that would lose water is one resident.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that that's
Grant worthy.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that it's worth, I think it would be better to, I'm not saying it's not grant worthy because it's old asbestos line pipe and other people down the line are also have water going through that line. What I'm saying is I don't know that it's worthy of a capital project just to fix that section without looking at a larger option.
And you see the. Tell them what they pull for the additional footage.
Yeah.
So like on the table, it's, maybe it'll mark it trillion, but that will, I can say, I don't think we need a budget for it because DJ doing evaluation of the works.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's, if they could do part of that as well, or if that's something they would do.
So that's just careful.
Do you know that if they're taking into account they have currently existing customers?
They have a single.
I've seen something in locations. And different point of views that there are meetings that you discuss one of the concerns with the capacity. And well, a lot of it is just real our size.
I didn't see any reason to hear any of the recommendations from the Chesapeake Bay Association that they gave us.
Perhaps. So I haven't seen anything either in there supposed to work with them and planning. They had ideas for the station, those sewer treatment place station. The area down by pump station for stabilizing that new issues there at that creek there at that pipe. But the big thing I thought we focus on was the repurposing of that station, but they were.
Okay, so that's why that's not on here. Okay, that was my
I
question.
think we'll have to talk with Eric, they're gonna incorporate that recommendation into their final report. Or like ideas for the new station.
To remove the top line item. I would recommend removing the top line item because I think it should be incorporated into a larger project, considering the scope of the.
And we get a CRP for.
It would be from the CHA.
Yes.
And I would say we may want to hold on a more capacity study as well to see what a final report from CHA that we already it's so that we don't have to, we're not putting funds towards something that we're already getting at least a portion of. We might have to do a supplemental. It might provide us everything we already need for that.
One of those, it's on here. What's right, so this one, I know how to pass. But. So I already have that data. Well, it's not. So we do it, some of that.
So I would like to see both, I think that my suggestion would be to see both of those removed for now until we get the report and everything from DHA and hopefully take that additional section of the water line and get it. Again, because right now there's other property between there, but there's only one residence that would be affected. Especially if the car wash was on the other, so the car wash must be on that new branch line then.
Yeah, on the branch line.
Okay, was it? Or, I mean, it might have been on the old branch line, but it's on the peak that was recently replaced.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I stepped out. What is your will as to the VDH plan?
Both of the first two line items. One to try and incorporate it into potentially a larger project with the scope of work that CHA, any additional recommendations that CHA will have. And for the water capacity study, again, see what the information that we've already paid for, so to speak, with ARPA funds from CHA before we commit more funds to that, which is at least a portion of that, if not all of it, should already be encompassed in the CHA water assessment project.
Do you want me to just delete these items then, or delete them? Okay, yeah, so let's try to make it. Complete the water main replacement project. Still on track to conclude the street work in June and then wrap up in August. I do want to state that there's some change orders coming. We need a public works committee meeting very soon to get on top of that because I have a concern about this. But meanwhile, this is the amount. Okay. This is coming from our contractor Thrasher. Okay, so now we're getting into the meat of what we would use water fund balance to use. Right now, there's not that many significant projects. The total amount is 61,500. The 2-inch water line, Main Street insertion valve, 75. Town water tank upgrades. Anthony, I went ahead and we were trying to get a quote from that contractor. Did he ever confirm that?
I sent you an email, set up a meeting and I never heard back, so you called me the other day, I can follow up with you tomorrow about when but Southern Erosion, I want the authority to execute a contract or do away with the contract. But USG did call me, they're gonna do a tank cleanout on Acme Tech next week.
So 20,000 for next year, a reasonable amount. Think so?
Depends on what we're tackling. We had a lot of issues with our tanks just in any build up. Deep holes in the top. If they had to do for some maintenance, we have hung up level sensors and all that.
Well, let me ask you, is it maintenance or true upgrades to the tanks? Okay.
It's maintenance to the ability that it will extend the life of the tank. So it could be considered maintenance.
All the paint on the towers, they seize the middle thick, so it's extra weight on the towers. Got say our system, regular system goes down, we can't go anywhere with tanks in town and see the actual physical level based on the physical level indicators due to the fact that they're either mission on. So we ever lose power there and there's a water issue, you won't be able to tell how much water is gonna take. That's the same thing that happened when I first started with the Ellisville issue. Because you couldn't tell manually what was in the tank of the store. Because it was hung up in Southern Building behind the tower, took all the pictures, but I should have under at the time. And Craig, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be patched. When they painted it last time, they didn't remove all the paint, so they overpainted a lot. Which caused a little issue with the structure, that's all. So my idea at that point was LCWA just so the corrosion and they're happy with them, so they don't do USG because of the same issues that I found that do all their inspection reports and the Google gets pictures almost look the same and they can identify the issues that we know of. But due to the transition of town manager at the time, they didn't raise it. Mark set up a meeting with Mr. Delaware and she gets me on so you can discuss possible contracts and things like that. I did give USG to go ahead and do the clean out to do for it. You clean out held off last year, and so I here, but it doesn't find no needs to be actually cleaned out.
That's that part of the maintenance item anyway. I was thinking if we're ending up having to do some scraping and repainting and things like that, that should, if the dollar amount is high enough, that should essentially constitute a capital improvement to it because it will extend the life of the
If we do
itself from that standpoint.
I've been fixing those manual level indicators. There's wasn't reflectivity on them, so you can kind of flashlight on to they're at, that's there. On that happy hour. That's why it's more, it's a kind of group.
Okay, so the storage tank though maintenance, because this is a 100-year-old tank. It's got to be maintained in structural integrity of its stability, particularly in high wind environment and hurricane, which we're approaching the hurricane season, needs to be protected. What is the line item in the water fund operating that does the maintenance? And maintenance line item. Is it in the operating?
I think that was mostly I ran a place and more to the table ancestors. And I versus whole tank doing that.
So there's 20,000 in there, but that's ongoing maintenance. There's nothing in there really for capital upgrade.
I think we were just asking whether or not 20,000 is a reasonable amount for the capital upgrade, not whether or not it was maintenance. But I think that was
There is
someone posed that question as well.
That's what you asked.
Okay.
So there's a line item in the water fund operating budget called capital expenditures. I did increase that to 1,000. But it wasn't dedicated for the storage tank. But I took it from 15.
Right, and that would cover some maintenance items, like for instance, something like the tank cleanup that he's talking about. It would not necessarily cover other items. The question is, for the town water tank upgrades, is 20,000 a number that is feasible for this year for part of the projects and then add something for additional for next year once we get a larger scope? Or do we think we need to potentially increase that number for this year to, I don't remember what the quote, because I know there was a quote I feel like last year that kind of outlined a few things, but I don't remember if it had a dollar figure on it as well or not.
Let's see that.
And my only question is this, the other water tank, it doesn't need anything.
No, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, definitely needs to be stripped and needed, and some patching on it, and make it like the fix. But the Acme tank, the big thing there is to be able to, it's newer than two tanks, but they're deep. We can clean the inside as much as we want, but integrity wise, the pictures are in molds, you don't want that kind of stuff on the tank.
So leave the 20 in there for now.
I think that's something we also need to hold on, just like we need on some of the other items, to be honest.
I think that is that a lot of that stuff is covered through a contract. In order for us to do that, I think we need to get a 30-day notice and town manager and council member need to approve the contract. So it's not like I can just get any company in, because it might be the original contract they have for the cleaning. So it's kind of what's touching things in the contract. Look at it.
That's a separate issue. So do we think 20,000 will get us part of the upgrades that we need, at least in the dark, the year?
And you'll have some of this stuff that
The most important items, the immediate concerns, 20,000 would address the immediate concerns, so.
you can actually look at it, see what the law.
So it sounds like the 20,000 would address the immediate concerns, and if we determine that we need an additional, or is it for next year? So we'll leave that, then, let's say.
This ground penetrating radar,
Is the year.
that's just, that's a wish list thing, but I think it's important because, these maps we give to contractors and even for the water main replacement project are old record maps. They're not even survey maps, and the downstairs in the basement get waterlogged.
We don't distribute it.
I know, but when we tell a contractor, when we mark location, where to some degree,
I think everyone is agreed that they're good with that. I wanna, if we can get down 27 right now.
okay, move along. Valve replacements, Anthony, we talked to CHA. Their map will tell us where the valves are, but does not know the condition. And, we'll take it up from there. 24 done.
Part of theirs was to work their contract
Yeah,
was to actually work the valves if they thought that they could.
yeah, you did talk about the fire hydrant valves. They did point out a few that were inoperable, but the list just keeps growing. That's why I had Stuart put in, we know of one additional valve that is a 6-inch valve that needs to be on lava. We need to get a pair there to get the water shut off. And there's a 2-inch valve and the third valve is that's what they do it. That's what I'm recommending because of the fact that there's no impact to anybody can cut off. They do a lot of delay. I'm gonna have to shut 3/4 of the shopping center down or things like that. Shut off, and you can't set off that 2-inch line. It's just the most efficient way. Cost wise, it's not bad, but the work that's done.
That's the 2-inch insertion valve.
Yeah, that's the one. You actually have to dig that one up and put a pair of vice grips on it, turn it off.
That is not addressed with the master meter. Okay. And then the others for various valve replacement throughout the.
I had that put in there, like I said, for a situation where we run into about like a 6-inch valve that we have to replace where definitely give it to me for insertion valve. I can do questions or I run into a critical valve that I know needs to get addressed right away. I have the funds available to call the guy out to me. I'll take care of it.
And we have quite a few valves that are kind of aging throughout the system that should be over time replaced anyway. So that would give us the ability to have that a certain number of done.
Well, I built an exercising program, purchasing a hydrant. And it literally is a low impact, basically an oversized Milwaukee angle grinder that you put onto a valve, onto the valve. And it spins in just enough where it's going to exercise the valve and you feel the resistance, but at the same time it counts as a return, so you tell the size of the line that's actually in the ground.
Okay, so the rest of these we discussed previously, we're using the ARPA money, which does need to be expended fully by December. As required by ARPA federal legislation. Cutler Avenue, master meter replacement, and then CHA water assessment. All its work, which is essentially 5 of its revenue.
My only comment for that is those items are currently, because of the way we have been doing our budget in the past, not only are they listed in the capital improvement program, they're actually included in our general fund, or excuse me, in our water and sewer fund budgets currently. So I do think that that should be noted somewhere so that somebody doesn't think that we're double counting or utilizing these funds, like multiplying these funds out. Because while they are USDA loan and ARPA, they are actually shown as revenue and expense lines in the budget. So I think making that distinction somewhere, whether we pull them out and maybe note that they're part of the budget already or something, because it's gonna, when you look at that water fund total, a lot of that is already in the water fund current budget, so we're not pulling, all of that money. You're only looking at what the 61.5 is the only, actually based on those adjustments, be pulling out of the water fund balance, not everything else. Is there in that?
And there is an ARPA funding infrastructure improvements line item in the capital improvements of the water. So I think it should probably just be there. That would be confusing.
If I understood it, and there's two aspects to this. Again, it's also a public relations document. So people do see that we have these capital projects. They won't necessarily see them buried in the operating budget. Additionally, the VML financial consultant said we needed, and the auditor said we needed to start placing the large capital projects in the CIP, which is what I think it was. But I understand, we can make a note, or I can delete them. Just say, these projects, and delete them now, and say these projects are in the operating budget this year.
The question of you taking this capital improvement and inserting it as a capital improvement for fiscal year 27 total balance X dollars, inserting that into the budget at some point? Or are you just trying to keep this as a completely separate thing? It's because you're gonna have to show where the funding's coming from, and right now you don't technically show where the funding's coming from. You simply state, I mean, you do on the source on the left-hand side, but you don't show it as is pulling from, reserve accounts, so to speak, from that standpoint with this.
Same thing with the USDA loan.
It's a presentation item really to let everyone know these are capital projects still underway. Otherwise, they'd be buried in the operating fund where they are budgeted specific accounting line items.
But you don't.
But in other words, I'm like, to your point with an auditing standpoint, if we have it here, and then we have it there, it's like the 351.22 is listed as,
I can delete it. It's already in the operating budget. I could put a note there and just say, these are capital projects of significance in the operating budget.
That's my question is, so the ones that you're planning, so for instance, the other items, the water fund balance items that you have in the capital group on the CIP,
That's right.
where are you showing those in the budget that gets presented to the public?
No, nowhere other than here.
So you're not showing those at all in the approved budget? Don't you
In
think
the-
that should be?
In the operating budget? They're not in the,
So then we either need to pull all capital items out of the operating budget and show a capital item grant revenue and then capital item expenses, or we need to, because.
in other words,
To,
I'm not sure I understand the question. The only items that are in the operating budget right now are the ARPA. These separate line items, because we have to use fund balance, they're not part of recurring water revenues, require fund balance, that's why I'm separated it out. There's no double counting. The only reason I put these in here for the ARPA was just to let the public know these are large capital projects.
right, but that's the problem is I think it's gonna be confusing showing them as large capital projects and then also showing a capital improvement budget items in our overall budget.
Okay, how would you like to see it?
I don't think that any of the ARPA or the USDA loan can be on a CIP since it's in the.
Okay.
Since we've already accounted for there, will be historically, that would finish those out historically the way they've been, but
Yeah.
So
I still want to confirm how we're incorporating that into the.
Just to clarify, you said you did this because of a VML recommendation. This
The-
is from the auditor.
the auditor said that we needed to start placing our large capital items in the CFP better than the operating budget and set them up with new account numbers. And then the VML consultant also recommended it. But I understand your concern. It's a transition. What the issue is going in a transition. I'll just take those out next year. I would clean that up, and then next year we'll go forward with ongoing projects. Okay.
And that goes same for the sewer fund as well. All
Yeah,
those other will be-
sure. No, we don't really. It's just really presentation, but if we're going to. All right, so we can move along. I'll take the ARPA out. And the only one on sewer. So, oh wait, so the USDA loan that you want me to keep that.
Well, the USDA loan is in there's a line item.
That's also.
It also
in
in the
the
operating budget.
This is an ongoing project. It's
Yeah.
in the
I'll take that. All right, so water fund, really, we're only spending 17.
61.5.
61.5.
Yeah. There you go. All right, so. Then we move to the sewer, we can take out the ARPA. Then we've got a total of 122,000. Ellisville pump station upgrade. Probably first, 100 manhole line. Mr. Larry and I met with the owner. She's not concerned about the cost, so she's prepared to pay and proceed. That is out of pocket of the sewer fund budget. The 502 East Main Street manhole, 30,000. The CHA study recommended in the future sanitary sewer manhole repair and lists all the manholes. And that would be for next year. Some point, I think there's more data on I&I coming out of the CHA study and we would need to budget for it out. But the core guts of this is Ellisville Pump Station, 104 Highway First, 502 East Main Street, manhole repair, 122,000. The total between the two enterprise funds, 61.5 and 122. Any questions on that? This has gone to committees. All right, Hillcrest Cemetery. Any other questions on that? We can wrap this maybe up. And moving on to the Hillcrest Cemetery, the only thing that came out of cemetery committee was repining or restoration of the brick columns. At some point, the road will need to be repaved. And we may at some point want to consider a backlot survey. Spoke to a surveyor, and that will be about 5,000. Are you good with the brick columns and Hillcrest Cemetery?
Is that based on a quote?
That was, where did that come? Trying to remember.
Is that like pointing up the bricks or what?
It's repointing the columns where they're starting to crumble on the corners.
I think that's what Data Comfort, I think, said it.
Well, and part of that, we did have the brick where the flag also has brick and everything. That one was redone.
Like Eagle Scout.
There was something that we redid last year.
We replanted that plant.
Was it the plants? I thought there was something else.
No,
with the structure as well.
I have to shoot up that. Yeah, it's the contract.
So sum up the capital projects. Right now, we got 89,498, the general fund, and the enterprise fund, 61.5 in the water fund, and 122,000 in sewer. Are we good with that?
Is that including the couple of things that potentially table parking lot and then splits?
But enough, the roof repair, parking parking lot and the basement's in. I can take them out if you want.
Yeah, he said, yep.
We got that in,
Oh my.
in the parking lot at 5,000.
The mini splits, that's not a reasonable quote for mini splits. It's just not.
I'll get it, that's full by
I
tomorrow.
mean, I can't imagine that not, maybe, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've come down in price in 10 years, but I doubt it.
I guess the question is if,
For multi-zones, yeah, they're doing one, I might do one. In single zones, maybe. Oh,
so one thought would be we can either approve it with an in or out and we come with it tonight or continue discussion.
well, here's the thing, is if we approve this tonight, and the quote comes in, that it's gonna be, because it's much, then there's been no point in us trying to approve it tonight, because it's not even a realistic number. I don't see the point in approving a number that's not gonna be realistic from that standpoint.
The only way to do that is in a quote payment later, we put it as an agenda item and add, just say, do a budget adjustment with an additional amount from fund balance.
Okay, so here's a question. Do we, because this needs to be sent out by end of week, we'll say. And Anthony, you feel like you could potentially get quotes in,
I'm just texting just
and
now.
then the next day or within the next couple of days for the parking lot and the mini splits,
Yeah.
both of those items. Do we as a council now say we would like to get the quotes? Have an email sent out that says what the quotes are and state that we will put up to X amount of dollars, assuming that it doesn't go past that number, something that we feel comfortable with, that we want to put them in there, in that way.
Like increase it like 15.
I mean,
That's a good idea. Not
I mean, that way, not to exceed amount, use quote not to exceed X dollars, and that way we can reevaluate later, but allow us to move forward.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's my compromise solution without having to, go back into another.
Sure. So what amount was
Thoughts on that?
parking lot and splits?
There's a lot of things on here that need. That's. Now that. Not just working on, but many splits or. I mean. Water tower, we don't,
Well, but he's right, but we were, so. For instance, the water tower, my understanding of that, where it stands now, is if we put 20,000 in. We know the total costs are, for all capital improvements are probably gonna be over 20,000,
oh, yeah,
right? But 20,000 should be able for us to address immediately the concerns that are of the most importance, the most needed issues. And then if we find that over the 20,000, there's another immediate issue, we could then address that at the budget at that time. Or if it's a not immediate issue, it could be incorporated into a CIP for the following year. With the understanding that we think, based on Anthony's, and I want to put words in his mouth, but we think that the 20,000 should be able to cover the immediate needs for the current upcoming year, recognizing that we'll have to include additional in a future year. But not including that in the plan yet because we don't have an actual number. Or we could put a placeholder in there potentially for future years since that's a plan, but.
But it's all the difference. Water tower, my plans on it, start the annual level indicators, I get those. Okay. I get towers. That's my main concern, because like I said, the system never fails, there's a glitch. You know, it's not. Thanks.
Your suggestion, please, excellent. Not to exceed amount. it would be a way to do this.
We're gonna do this on everything, like the floor,
Probably had it.
Go for the floor.
There's a quote for the floor.
there's a profile.
Yes, sir.
How about the roof?
The roof, 18th is when they're supposed to get to me, but I can call it, I'll try to get somebody out here sooner. Like I said, I've got so much going on today, I was able just to put 100% towards getting close to put everything else on it.
Full deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
So if you have a number, so then we can wrap this up. If you have another. Well, let's go, well, let's be rational. Mr. Larry, what would be a not to exceed amount on the parking lot seal?
I told you my recommendation, we have to put it off and put it in next week, the main area is right here, we can patch that. Just as good as we patch that pinhole on Main Street, we can do some patching, so. It's just, if we're gonna overhaul it. Feel comfortable. But keep in mind, just like any other course I got regarding paving, with everything going on over the price of the tar, so
We'll do this too.
All right, well, then let's just take the parking lot out. We don't have a quote, we're not gonna have one, and we gotta get it published. It doesn't make sense to try to ballpark a number, because he's not confident in the number. I don't think anybody here has general experience in paving. So I don't think we wanna spitball a number like that and get it.
yeah, at least you got a number and.
So let's take that out. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right, mini splits,
So I look at the notes on the mini splits and I see at the very end, it says multi-zone system 6 to 15,000. So I don't know what we're talking about with these, but 15,000 is the biggest number I'm seeing. So why don't we say not to exceed 15,000?
You know what that is.
I have no idea.
That's the thing is, we don't know what his
Size.
is.
I'm just using the notes that were given to us.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, are mini splits the best option? My understanding is mini splits may not be the best option. If heat is the main concern, mini splits are not good at heating spaces. They're,
I literally just got X and Y is all in that. So you can let you know when you want to do it.
well,
but I would think for heaters, even if you get two heaters in the main building and in the one in the shop, like the one in the smaller area of the office
You
area.
just change it to heating / cooling and then put not to, and then,
Just put HVAC system.
yeah, HVAC.
Yeah.
And then not to exceed 15,000.
I like the weather. Good.
That was something.
Okay with that. Right, so if we do that,
We're talking about 6,000. Yes.
yes, we make that 15, not to exceed. Not to exceed, okay. That would give us a reasonable rational estimate for gets that done. Okay, so that would wrap it up. So the total general fund would be 93,498. Already discussed water and sewer. Okay. All right. So
I need to tell the guy giving the quote to not to exceed 15,000.
Companies that would wait the one.
You know, waiting, always a lot of people in the back. The meanest contract here.
Yes.
there we go. All right, so that's it for the CIP. And now we can move fairly quickly to the fees. Want to go through that? We'll do that. Probably do this in 30 minutes.
What? So all the things that I suggested on the back was suggestions from the county. I'm not necessarily going to say that they got my back. So the only one that I'm really trying to need clarification from other people is the difference between the building permit and the site plan, just because my thought of that was that a building permit was in that building department and building actually review those things. What that is in our current fee structure of building.
Is it building permit or is that true their zoning permit? Because we don't actually have a. It just says building permit. But it's under our zoning section. So is it truly more of a zoning permit and not a building? I don't.
It's usually a zoning application, but
Yes.
Yes.
not a permit.
What's the zoning application? Group I think you consider. say like Checkers has to get a zoning application for the, site plan, really, they have to post that like a building permit along with it.
That comes from the county.
Bill,
Building permit goes to the county, but they come to the town for the zoning. And town council passes. Signed by the town manager. Then they take that to the county to get the building.
If the question is how the zoning application works, if it's a by right zoning, they fill out the application and then I review it in relation to the town code, and then I move pretty quickly to signing it, and we move on to the county for building inspection. But the things she's proposing are there's more work involved with the commercial building permit, zoning building permit, and also site plan review. Mr. Larry spent a significant amount of time on new development, on making sure that the site plan not just meets zoning, but is in the right configuration for water sewer connections, stormwater, the VDOT rules, so forth. Going on.
But that all falls under site plan.
Correct.
Okay,
Not so.
but the town does not issue building permits for commercial properties.
or he.
They call
They
it.
don't do building.
I know where you're going with this. I was curious. It's an old language. It's really a zoning permit that I do not a building permit. That really needs, the language needs to change. I only do zoning. The county does building inspections.
So should we just change where it says building permit under there and be just zoning permit
I'm more comfortable with that. I don't know why it was called
or
building.
zoning application?
So, but with zoning application only if you're trying to change the zoning, because right now it has to go through a review, even if it's by right zoning. So if somebody has a residential lot and they want to build a house, they come in for a zoning.
That's a
review.
rezoning.
No. If it's a residential lot and they want to build a residential house on it, if they build a 1 to 4 family on it, they still come in and get it reviewed and get a certification that, yes, we agree that what you're putting on here is by right review. So we do a zoning permit from that standpoint, because the county will not issue, my understanding is the county will not issue a building permit to a town resident unless they first come to the county, to the town and gotten their review from the town.
Yes.
first.
You have one that is called rezoning. So is there enough delineation to say zoning permit and then rezoning?
We need to go,
Change. Well, it's-
zoning permit is exactly what you said, the county's not even gonna let you build anything unless you know that you come to us and let us see what you're trying to build. Rezoning is if you're split, you own both.
What I was just saying is that we have rezoning on here. That's what I was trying to point.
But
But
again-
we have zoning, is there just one that you can say just zoning application?
versus a rezoning, because that would essentially be a zoning application would be a rezoning.
Well, first of all, to your point, the zoning application needs to stop being called a building permit because the county issues the building.
Mhm.
We issue the zoning. This is just nomenclature that's.
Yeah, I think we should just change it to zoning application.
Correct.
Zoning application, or because they're not applying for, okay, so I guess my.
So it's a zoning permit that I issue. It's a straight up zoning permit. They
zoning-
get a card, they stick it on the wall, it says zoning permit.
They're applying for a zoning, so it's a zoning application.
I was supposed you're doing a remodel.
Well, that, you go to the county for that.
We need
The town doesn't touch that.
Town doesn't touch.
Well, it depends if they expand the footprint on the property and remodel, then it
That'll be considered addition.
in addition. But anyway, so you're correct. The zoning permit needs to be called zoning permit, not building. That, I don't know why that.
That's for the residential and commercial. It's
No. Oh, yes, correct, yes.
my only question, Steph, is that, the same as what the county charges right now?
So. Actually, when I did this, I think I heard it compared to similar, you did multiple town locations as well as county of Louisa and county of somewhere else. Yeah, it's what your email said.
Yeah, but you have multiple.
can one of them.
All right, so we're calling this a zoning application.
So, well,
Can we just say zoning application / permit so that his permit piece works, but we know that it's an application process? I mean, I don't want to fight over what words we're using here.
I'm fine, certainly.
I mean, I don't. But I think there's two separate processes. There's the rezoning application where they have to come in and have a public hearing.
Yeah.
Yes, and then there's the permit piece.
But it
that
shouldn't
we
say no.
recognize.
So zoning permit, residential, commercial.
So the
I
new,
just did that one.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing.
Yeah.
We would be at, for the county, county does 125 for residential, 150 for commercial. But we were already charging 250 per fee. So unless we wanted to reduce that, which we could,
I thought they just increased the fees.
they may have, but this was, I did this back in February.
Okay, I think that's been changed, because they did some fee upgrades.
but just go through what is new that you're proposing that's new.
So that would be the new fee, and then additional for site plan, less than 5 lots, greater than 5 lots, and commercial, and I just, in my mind, that spreads the love, it's not fair to charge. Somebody who wants to develop 10 lots, the same as somebody who's just building 2 houses, in my opinion. So that's why I presented that, just it took, less off, or to me, it takes off of those. Or not.
Right now, we have no site plan fee, right?
Right,
Yeah, so this is new. Because Mr. Larry and I, particularly Mr. Larry, spent a significant amount of time on all these new developments. Doesn't capture any of this cost or my.
So for site plan, if it's one residential house, so if somebody has a lot, and I know we don't really have that in here, just the main area, I think there's still some lots available for a single. Okay, for single family residences, but if somebody wants to come in with this new fee structure and they wanted to build a house, they would have to have their zoning permit for 250, right? Based on the proposed fee structure, building permit for 250, then they'd have to go to the county and get their, zoning permit for 250, go to the county, get the building permit for whatever that cost is, and then come back and do a site plan for us as well for residential at a additional 350. So we're charging them $600 to build a house.
I don't think she's intending for like single residence. I think it's just, I guess,
That's right, my
Well,
question, because
yeah,
it says less than 5 lots, which could be.
zoning
One.
to me is, so I did whatever thought you guys have on this, I didn't have a lot of input, so whatever, I'm just trying to capture whatever would help cover his costs of reviewing plans, which I think site plans are
yeah, well, some of this,
take up part of your time than just getting an application. I almost feel like those fees could be one or the other, but that's again not comparing that.
Why don't you just change it instead of the less than sign and make it 2-5?
I was gonna say, do we want to go with our zoning, with our code, which is what, 3 or more are considered multifamily, not 4? Because mostly 1 to 4 in general practice is considered single family, and then 5 and up is multifamily, but our code distinguishes, I think, 4 and up is 4 residences, 4 dwelling units.
But 4 dwelling units would be 1 residence.
No,
4 dwelling units could often be considered multifamily, but I think I'm getting myself confused.
That's different than lot numbers.
I was gonna say, yeah, it is different, and I'm getting myself confused with a lot versus, because I think with some of that multifamily stuff and mixed use and SUPs, this doesn't necessarily, and I guess that would technically be considered commercial, but to me, a multi-unit.
So you're thinking, say, 2 to 5 So that way, if you have someone that has like a lot in the town that they want to subdivide and
Yeah.
build 2 houses.
Then they pay the 350, you know, more, if they're creating a mini subdivision of 5 or more, if they're greater than 5.
The site plan residential 2 to 5 is 350.
Yeah, so we're just changing where it says luxury.
Does that work for you?
He's the one that does most of it. I,
That works for me, honestly, up to anything above 2 is gonna take more of it.
so,
To
yeah,
be clear, these are new, like these are additions
Commercial, yes.
for this year. You don't currently do this. Okay.
Well, we do have a, no, commercial would be its own separate thing. But I do think,
so the 250 is for me to review the zoning map. But the site plan is the infrastructure, water, sewer, storm, of how it's gonna go in the.
Yeah.
So he spends a significant amount.
so, and again, commercial is at 700, but is that realistic for multifamily, like some of these
I think the way she,
HUDs and things?
the wording for commercial was more like if you get a hotel. Or something of that scale where it's actually dead zoned as commercial. The other ones, correct me if I'm wrong, are more of like subdivisions, or if you build 3 houses. Or 3 smaller residential.
So where would something like the approved expansion to do it fall into this? Because to me, it would be considered commercial, which would be 700, but it's multiple buildings.
See, that's why
Like
from my standard looking at it and zoning it, it's considered residential, even though it's a multi. So it'd be the same price, but it would be built already greater than 5 lots because of the size, square footage of it.
But actually, that hotel under your scenario, a hotel under your scenario would be much more than 6 lot review. Major hotel, that's pretty low, isn't it?
Think about,
The,
How many hours would you spend?
Do we have any of these on the horizon right now?
yeah, well, yeah, so we are subdivisions I'm working on.
Well, I understand that. I'm talking about the hotel thing you said.
Yeah, it's just me putting that.
I mean, it's a site plan. It's not a building permit, so you're not going to do engineering and stuff like that.
A site.
No, you do review it.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Do you the professional?
Qualified to review engineering plans?
Yeah, I did, you got to tell me over.
the county current fee structure, it is 125 for the zoning fee. However, you also have to pay an additional $100 with that 125 for their erosion and sediment control fee, which was the fee that we were talking about putting into place. So they're actually paying 225 to the county. And they charge them $75 to add a 911 address, and it's $50 for the actual building fee for a new single family dwelling.
Is how much for a single family?
So we're clear.
It says 1,500 minimum. They go by square feet of everything as an additional.
Well, the reality is, if somebody comes in and has one home, they're gonna pay $250 plus what? Site plan to
So the county,
250.
yeah, and the county is 225, so you're not that far off.
All right.
Because they have 2 fees that they're
Yeah.
giving them at the same time.
Mr. Brady, just so we're clear, my responsibility when I do site plans is mainly infrastructure. I take our facility standards manual, and I take what our specifications are. You know, according to the plans.
They also have it
I don't do any of the other engineering, because it goes through different phases, it goes to DEQ, it goes to VDOT. Then I sign off and make sure everything meets our facility standards in regards to the water facility.
Okay, not the building part.
No, sir,
That's what I'm.
Okay.
So additionally, I have a battery line adjustment.
We got all that.
Yes, well,
Okay, just because I do believe town manager has received that takes less work in reviewing the site plan.
but this is an amendment to the site plan greater than 5 lots. You say greater than 5 lots or multifamily.
Well, my thought was if somebody's doing a commercial as far as review process, to me, I don't know, Anthony, you can. If I'm looking at a multi-family project that's got multiple areas of, it has to have its, particularly with some of these PUDs and things that we have. They have to have a certain amount of open area, they have to have a certain amount of,
That does not fall under us.
that goes through the zoning.
Yeah.
Back through the.
Only thing I do
Or the
on
planning.
site plans, I go through all the elevation sheets, I go through all the water and sewer diagrams, I go through construction notes. I make sure that anything that's in there that pertains to our water and sewer infrastructure and our guidelines meets our specifications.
No, but it still has to go through planning, it still has to go back through site plan review through planning.
It goes through DDOT, it goes through the county, and it goes to DEQ.
But doesn't it go back, it goes back to the planning commission as well for those? For the, like the PUDs and things. I guess my thought was. Something like the checkers that's going in, seems like it would take a lot less time review than something like. The expansion of. To do it or another multifamily project, so should there be another tier for something like that, that's a large multifamily project other than just the 700? Or are we just lumping all commercial together, well,
Yeah.
commercial / multifamily
I
together?
can get with Stephanie, and we can look again at other localities.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, get closer.
That was my question is, do we need a separate tier for commercial, like standalone commercial versus large scale multifamily? Or are we okay with time wise, just doing the same, the flat 700 for all of them?
See, usually I go through, at a minimum, even for something like checkers, I go through 3 to 4 revisions. So they send me the plans, I submit my notes on what I found, and I have to review the plans to make sure they actually address what I pointed out, look back farther through the plans, to how I find up.
So each review would get this fee, is that correct?
Yeah. Be a single.
It's just one.
Okay, well, I'm fine with if you wanted to do, yeah, commercial and multifamily, that would take care of it. And we'll just leave it, we just decide that it needs to be adjusted fee later on.
Sorry, can you summarize that? Yeah.
Site-
The site plan that says commercial / it's the same fee as the greater than 5 lots.
No changes to the fee amounts. Site plan less than 5 lots is changed to site plan 2 to 5 lots. Site plan greater than 5 lots, residential stays the same. Site plan, commercial and multifamily.
Okay, good. Then the boundary line adjustment is 50. Okay, the next big one is the utilities late payment. Do we want to start? There is no current late fee on water, anything account.
I would strongly recommend making it a flat dollar per month, because if you start doing 5%, then you have to how are you gonna compound that if they're 3 months late?
So they cut off.
I understand that, but it's still a penalty, and so how are you gonna add the 5%?
Is it 5% per month or is it
Right.
5% of the allocated balance?
$20 fee per month late.
I would say Stephanie, to her defense, had recommended just a $5 fee, and we said, people see $5 and they're not.
That's not good.
Yeah, and from the billing aspect, it's our integrated system, it's much easier to just say $10.
Yeah, I would say $10 per month, whatever. something like that.
$10 a month.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 3 months late, you pay $30.
I mean, the cutoff is nice. So it really only be 20.
But it's 60 days from billing, so it's technically 90 days for past due amount.
So $10.
Or if they still don't pay for 4 months, you're not gonna charge them for the 4 months.
We
Oh,
don't.
no, now, we would still pay for we would still charge them for what they use, but once it's cut off, we're not charging.
No, we are.
After.
They're gonna charge usage bill, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't have a separate usage.
They go back to
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$10. We got a motion.
So $10 is roughly 10%, it's over 10% of the bill.
On the base bill.
On a base bill, yeah. Does 10% seem? I don't. Okay, like payments most of the time, so I don't know if you open card, just like yeah.
I can say, I think around the 5. That would be already out there.
Which would be roughly 5%.
This is a new introduction of a rate. We okay with that?
$5.
At 6 p.m., I'm good with $5.
Everybody, okay.
$5.
Per month,
All
is
right.
that what we're saying?
Okay, 12, we've got DMV stuff, removal. I'm sorry.
So the stock removal, that's something I did put on there because that if we wanted to start where it goes to DMV on personal property taxes to put a hold so they can't renew their plates, this fee would be attached to that to have to remove it. So it would be charged to, like if I didn't pay this $25 would be charged for me to take off the stock. That's something I do have to work with the treasurer and bring to you guys hopefully within the next few months. Since that's a deterrent for people not having their personal property.
I would like to see both of those implemented at the same time. And I know that the DMP contract that I'd be going along with that. I don't know if there be costs associated with that as well.
There are costs, I have to look that much into it, but there are costs just from what I know in mineral for like users who have access to the system. You have to pay for something like that.
And I didn't know if that's something we should maybe, my thought was, do we hold on that till we have more information on the DMV contract side of it and make sure that we're covering all of our cost basis and everything rather than just the fee out there and we think we're not knowing how it relates to our costs.
I don't think that we charge right for others that Stephanie Dorman is the user on the DMV website to put a whole bunker. But I don't know, because I've never had to do.
But that's my only concern is I don't want to really charge a fee. I don't want to start.
It is $25 for sure. This part is, the rest of it,
You mean it's $25 for sure.
it's $25 for sure for the stock.
So that's what it costs. Okay. So what that would be is essentially we would be charging, there'd be a contract with us to be able to put it on there. We would have to pay DMV, we have to pay at the town $25 to DMV to get the stock removed. So we're passing that through to our customer.
To whoever, 25 per vegetable.
We're not charging anything for our members.
Not based on this,
And I don't know about it to be able to comfortably say,
whether we can or we can't do that. Yeah, I think we need more research. Personally, I think we need more research on that before we add it in there. Well,
I think we should just scratch it.
I agree. Yeah, I think
The water disconnection, reconnection, this is as requested by a tenant. And the only reason we see that is Mr. Larry, his guys will get several calls, and say, hey, come turn my water off. All right, turn it back on because my phone is done. Oh, wait. That was just something we were thinking as a way to get calls.
We just have to happen to our times.
Right. So reconnection fee on the
That's if it's at the request. That's it,
Yes,
decide
this,
to-
this one is just.
Not that if it's a water line failure or something like that. Okay.
yeah, we busted from payments or yeah. Property.
Plumbing issue or something like that, but,
What's not listed on here, but I made an adjustment, is the FOIA charges, because currently the way it's worded, it's $15 plus staff time, and FOIA does not allow for a minimum, you can't do that. And one thing that's not on here that I wanted you guys to just maybe consider was this opening and closing fee for the columbarium. I have not sold a columbarium since.
I mean, sold many columbarium, but I don't feel like we've sold that many columbarium
We haven't, but
in general.
since this fee, I know a lady that she bought it before this fee was put in place, and this, well, now it's almost going to be, I'm not paying this time. It's over. And from my understanding from the cemetery committee, when I started, that was this fee is every single time that it's open. So if you wanted to put 2 urns in there at different times, you pay this price. And people were not happy with that. So just something to consider.
That's a job, and closing that's called.
Sure it is, but is that not something that could be potentially covered under our insurance?
I think that we drop that one. I've had gotten my foot before, so that, well, yeah, call it.
I think that was the basis for the opening and closing, was the fact that the damage that is done when you do that, that's why it was always so high. Yeah.
But if we, if that, I don't know, I'm not really charged for policy, if that's not.
Yeah, it's much more.
Okay.
Well, and how does that work with opening and closing? Because if somebody has one, what we've been doing historically is we have a blank one, have extra blanks. And if something happens and someone needs it engraved, we have to go take it off. So that they can go to the engraver and put a blank one on. And then come back and then swap it out. So it's multiple opening and closings every time something happens. It's not all one.
I thought the guys, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what happened, right? I showed up out there and did it.
Because I know we've done that in the past where it's had to go to an engraver and it's left and not even actually been on the building.
Yeah, so what we went out, I had everything actually not did it.
It's something to consider because we are not the all there. Yeah.
That does sense. The only other question, I know that John had asked some questions about the deposit fee.
So I went to a session here for you guys in my demo. I want to say on the last day. The meter deposit, so that any person applying for town water service for property in or outside town shall make a meter deposit in the amount fixed by council. You guys currently have it set at $300. So if we wanted to change it, we definitely could.
A typical bill up to disconnection needs to be how
Now, since the policy's been in place, I would not say it's that high, but we had some over $1,000.
This was considered that disconnect, people are bought.
Yeah.
Once they.
Here's how, like, as people, are moving into apartments, like you're paying a deposit for your electric, you're paying the first rent. A deposit now for a meter, like, it's just a lot, and I don't, is,
It is, but we are also a utility. Yeah.
the price.
I think we'll love
the meter.
our code sections.
So whenever, like, if a tenant moves into a house, it's $300. Which I think tripled last year, I think it was 100.
Totally, the one that, so if you do a meter deposit, you move in and they never pay their bill. You get 3 months worth of baseline services right at $300.
I think when we look it up, there's nothing in our code that allows us to hold the landlord.
Yeah.
Is it, oh, yeah, you just bought that, so there's something verbiage in the code that if it's a tenant, landlord's on the hook with that. That's. Thing we look at.
And I think you can't charge past 9 days.
That's.
And then I see you. Almost like. So
Well, if we're gonna, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna say the landlord's on the hook, don't we have an obligation to notify the landlord before it gets out of hand? I mean,
Sure.
that seems a little like the landlord, they may think everything's hunky dory and then all of a sudden we're gonna turn around and try to get to them.
this is in our code for this part, said that they cannot back charge past 90 days. So if they got 13, unless we're contacting them upon disconnection.
And it gets the property, abandons the property, turns on the outside spigot and just lets it rot.
I don't think the landlord are shut.
Why? Why would you think that?
Well, if they've abandoned the property, the landlord doesn't know that it's been abandoned either.
Something that we can do is that we don't know what our property rentals and that I just have to go applications. I don't know how we differentiate.
Yeah,
Hey, I don't know.
and there's so many people renting their houses now that. Well, and also. You have there are some landlords that just, they pay the water bill and they pass it through to the tenant as well, and so it's part of the tenant's cost to the landlord versus it being a separate metered out piece. So that piece is compared. It's not in it's.
They have absolutely jurisdictions or anything like that, where there's an extreme of usage.
We do, we get perfect credit.
You credit it, we treat it like, you can't say, well, it's not up there now. Some statute does those.
Well, with electric.
We need not get it.
And they can pay a deposit.
Yes.
But that's not, Chad mentioned that, and the tenant usually pays 1 month of rent. Trying to collect 3 months of base water bill. Seems a little disproportionate.
And we got some people in the water.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that with the town attorney on this. Landlord tenant relationship. Need situation. So that's all we do.
Yeah.
This is basically whether you want to lower the meter deposit for. The normal person talking about now, what is going to be their meter deposit? From a businessman's perspective, this level. It's find out. We file for Las Vegas. That should be even with the bill. We file the deposit.
I just did this return. That's on point as well.
They don't require the pot, they turn it down.
So that
Oh, they type.
Same with the electric company. Yeah, you don't pay the bill right now. If you want to get the whole one, actually, because they're. They have.
I just want to be clear, by the way. This is a, not charging. But
that is for the listed
They just, there's no question that we agree there should be a meter deposit. It's just, is 300 enough of the to pay out?
It's 300 a realistic number. It's roughly 3 months of water. We did 1 month's worth of water. We're gonna put it at $100. It'd be essentially the same as 1 month's rent for a property if the landlord had incorporated it into their monthly rent.
So what would you want?
well, let's go on the 19th, so we have to have that set that way.
So the fee schedule has to add to the budget. Pretty different, so I could under or. Looking at the Louisa County Water Authority.
There's just 125 feet, or 150, I think it's 150.
That's one. So this thing said we would. The. It's just that. The water source is the same. Yeah.
There would be 150 on
We have a 157.
Sure.
What are the rate for them?
I think 300 is just too high, but 150.
It might be just for future discussion if we're gonna refund people now.
I just asked if we had a refund as far as if it was refunded or not, that's all. But I don't have. So their account would have whether they paid $300 and therefore they be refunded, but I don't know.
So what is the will of council on the unit deposit?
I'd say 150.
Okay. All right, didn't get anything else? All right, so
Just to make sure everyone is aware, as discussed prior meeting, the sewer rates were
Oh,
increased by
sorry.
6%.
Those, yeah, those,
6.9.
I got one. I did update that on the.
Yeah, I saw that. I just wanted to make sure you guys had seen that.
So sewer will go up 7, and I put that in the operating budget. Real quickly, the only changes I made to the operating budget since our last meeting, I increased the sewer revenues by 7% to adjust for the increase in sewer fees. So that lowered the general fund transfers, the balance of fund. And then I eliminated the admissions tax projection. So there's a reserve of 56,000 in the operating budget to as a result. But that's the only changes I think. And I can forward that operating budget.
So we ready to run it out on it, you feel, or?
You were good with that up to amount?
I'm fine with up to now. I would personally, I think. I think we need to see the finished product before it's run, rather than,
I'm not disagreeing with that, I just don't know how that on this time frame. Because you can't email it to you, it's over the regular.
right, because it can. The only other thing to do is push everything 1 week and have exactly 7 days between public hearing and have another meeting between.
If we took on a product, we can visually inspect it individually.
That could get complicated if one person notes a change and that change is incorporated and then they have to like.
So every 7 days, I could push it to June 9th.
So what that will do is if we push it 7 days, we would have to have another meeting of this body between now and next Tuesday. Or no, we could just, next Tuesday is the regular council meeting, isn't it? So we could review it again at the next council meeting. Stephanie confirm with me to make sure that so if we did that, so this is today's the 12th, so if we reviewed it at the next council meeting. It would have to go out probably by that Friday because I'm assuming his deadline is different because of the holiday on Monday. But that would be advertised in the paper on the 28th, advertised in the paper on the 4th.
That's you want it twice.
And has it on twice.
So that's pushing June 2nd to June 30th, right?
And then we would, June 9th, we would have our special meeting with the public hearing. And then it would be a 7-day instead of a 14-day window, which is still within guidelines to where we would then vote on.
5 now, I think it's 5 days.
Is it 5 days now? Okay. That would give us 7 days so that then at our next regular council meeting on June 16th, we can be able to adopt it.
Okay.
But it would push everything 1 week and allow us to have another look at the finished product at our regular meeting next week.
So we can address schedule next week then.
Or
For June 2nd versus, because we're not gonna need to meet June 2nd.
Yeah, we'll have to push it to June 9th.
we wouldn't have, if we decide that we want to look at this again at the next meeting, we have no choice but to push it to June 9th. As our meeting date, as far as scheduling goes.
So review the operating and capital budgets on May 19th as an agenda.
That does work within our time frame, your understanding of it, correct? Yeah.
It's a 2 weeks.
We don't have a combination discussion.
Correct. We'll have a whole lot of other agenda items and hopefully I would recommend everybody review it. So I would say we still want to see by the end of this week, this finalized budget so that we can have a chance to review it. And have a conversation if we see anything that needs to be changed between now and Tuesday. Yes.
So the only thing that's changed in the operating budget, I took out the emission tax. I added 7% on the sewer. There's a reserve now line item in the operating budget, and that's it. That's all done.
We need to see it. Yeah.
So by Friday, final product. Next Tuesday, it will be added to the agenda,
Just to confirm.
that's needs to run the ad. And now June 2nd is June 9th, 6 p.m. for the public hearing.
Is there anything else with Mr. Purcell? Discuss. So I'll take you guys.
Next Tuesday.
Need a motion to adjourn.
So,
All in favor?
uh,